Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
The other schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
this one's special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
The epitome of what this team has done, right? Gavin homers, Jace homers, Braden homers, Chris Cortez, 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
If I'm betting on anything, it's a torrential downpour, because that's just how things are going recently. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Texas A&M's baseball team starts their NCAA tournament later on today. We hope on time. We'll see if it starts at noon. The number 3 overall seed in the tournament, the highest program in the program's history. And it is the 13th time they've been hosting there at Bluebell Park. 38 program appearances in the NCAA tournament. We begin things with our buddy, Olin Buchanan, here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, I know we'll talk Florida, but baseball, baby.
According to my weather app,
it'll be gone.
The rain should be stopped by noon, maybe by 11.
So does that mean everything gets pushed back an hour or two?
I don't know, because remember we a couple of weeks ago we had that torrential downpour. I mean, it was a flood, and that volume of water they still were able to play.
Yeah,
but
they pushed it back, I think, an hour.
Yeah,
right?
but what I'm saying is that was an insane amount of water. I mean, we're having a lot of rain, but not to that degree. So they do such an incredible job getting the field over there ready. I mean, I wouldn't bet against them. I'm kind of like, if I was Jack Moss, I'd be saying, if I bet on anybody, I'd bet on the grounds crew, the Texas A&M grounds crew.
I drove through that rain last night. You were probably in the air flying. I was coming from Tomball back to College Station. It was ridiculous at one point. Yeah, it was dangerous.
About what time was that?
I think we left at 7:24 p.m. So in that range, between that and 8 o'clock.
I do know when I was coming home from Houston, from the airport, I could see in the western sky, just jagged lightning all over the place. And by the time I got around Cypress, the rain apparently, because I never got rain, but the rain had stopped. But the streets were just, I don't want to say flooded, but they were significantly wet.
Well, we're going to talk baseball this morning, especially during the Go Hour. Scott Livingstone going to be in studio at 8:35, so we'll chit-chat with him about the regional and the series and whatnot. And, of course, 3 things we want to see here in a moment. But I thought, because, OB, you've been working football the last couple days, let's talk a little bit about that. How did you find SEC media, SEC coaches, personnel, what you read, what you saw, what you heard? How do they perceive Texas A&M? How do they perceive Coach Elko?
Well, I think everybody from media to everything is impressed with Coach Elko.
Yep.
Just the way he handles things, the way he carries himself, the way he answers questions very directly, honestly, or you think honestly, but, there's not a lot of – I'm trying to think of the exact right way to say this. There's not a lot of wasted words or anything like that, and there's not a lot of –
no BS.
Yeah. Sometimes with bravado is not even the right word. Sometimes some coaches, there's the jokes and there's this and there's almost a sideshow. And then, oh, by the way, we're also having a news conference. And Mike he'll take that question as you ask him. He's very polite about things. And he just gives you a direct answer. And all the answers seem very, to make sense.
Yep.
Right? They're not just sound bites. So, and I had more than 1 or 2 people say, hey, man, he's I think he's going to be successful. I mean, just the way, I think, well,
what is successful? I mean, I know what you think successful is and what I think it is, but what do you think they think when they say that? Reaching the potential,
the same things that we do. Yeah,
9-10 win teams every year.
And then I think you should aspire and expect to win 9 or 10 games every year, and then every so often you're going to have that year. Shouldn't have to come once every century, and it shouldn't have to come once a decade. But that year where you're playing for championship.
If his tenure at A&M mimics Lane Kiffin's at Ole Miss, the success he's had there, okay, is that successful at A&M?
I would think, in my opinion, that that A&M should aspire for a level above what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss, which has been extremely impressive. But I say that because, once again, and this is no shot at Oxford, but it's in Oxford. Now, Oxford's a nice enough place, but the quantity of prospects to recruit in Mississippi is dwarfed by the quantity that just come out of Houston.
So the reason I asked that, because I think if I told you these records, we'd sign up for it today.
Right.
Okay. At Florida Atlantic, all right, he had one bad season, but overall 11-3, 11-3. Obviously, Florida Atlantic different. Okay. Now we go to Ole Miss. Year 1, 5-5. Year 2, 10-3. Year 3, 8-5. Year 4, 11-2. I think we sign up for that.
He is you don't have to like him. It's kind of, in a weird way, I kind of like Lane
I like
Kiffin.
him too. Just don't talk about us.
It's a weird way. Kind of like Mike Leach. There was a time when
people hated him.
Well, yeah,
but he's likable.
But he's likable in a kind of strange way. So I admire and envy what Lane Kiffin has been able to do. But what I'm saying, I guess my point is,
it should be better than Ole Miss.
If you can do that at Ole Miss, you should be able to accomplish even more at A&M, because if nothing else, the geographical advantages to recruiting.
But if I told
when you add in all the other things, the resources and the facilities and everything else that goes with it, there's absolutely no excuse for A&M not to be exceeding what Ole Miss does.
So I'm going to reverse the order of this. But if I told you this year Elko goes 8-5, next year 10-3, the year after that 11-2, we sign up for it all day. I know we don't want 8-5. Please don't get me wrong.
I know what you're saying.
But we're like, heck, build that dude a statue.
Yeah, except the only thing I would say against that is if I have a team capable of going 11-2, I don't want to settle for 11-2.
Oh, heck yeah, no.
Yeah. I want the championship, damn it.
But I just never thought of it that, because I thought of him as very successful, but we would trade resumes all day.
When I was living in Nashville, Franklin, Tennessee, actually, and that one year that Lane Kiffin was at Tennessee, even then, there's, that guy, you could tell that guy's just a hell of a coach. They played like the Music City Bowl or something like that, but they took them so far, and you could tell they were just so much better. And then I think USC, I don't want to make excuses for Lane, but when he was at USC and got fired on the tarmac and everything, he was also dealing with the recruiting disadvantages of the sanctions from the previous thing with Reggie Bush.
Yep.
So he kind of became a scapegoat there.
He's also a bit of a punk, right?
That's why you say you like him almost reluctantly.
Yeah.
But he's a character, and I think that
college football needs characters.
Yeah, because there's not enough of them.
Jimbo was a character.
I guess
he was.
I guess, yeah. He became a caricature.
Yeah, but he would sometimes give you really good sound bites and good, talking points on a radio show. He was elite at one point.
Yeah, at one point.
And it felt like he was going to be elite here.
After first 3 years, I thought so. I thought they were.
I even thought after 8-4,
because we had
next year Nuño was born because of that.
We had an excuse because we thought, well, they lost the starting quarterback. Of course, they're not going to be, and they still had a chance to win the West late in November. And you think, okay, and then came Appy State.
Oh, please, let's move on. So, Athlon Sports had a bunch of comments about Coach Elko and Texas A&M, and I read one of those yesterday, so I don't need to go back to that one. We may revisit it because I don't think I did it with you on the show. Marcel Reed. This is from an insider, an SEC coach. Sometimes I wonder, what are they talking to, like the water coach? So I wonder where these, like, who makes these comments. But let's just go read this. Marcel Reed, who I like, by the way, a lot, might be the better overall quarterback than Connor Wigman. Don't be shocked if he's the starter at some point this season by beating him out or injury. Bro.
The only, now, of course, it's an anonymous quote.
Yeah.
The only guy who's a coach, not a head coach, but a coach in the SEC, that if they said that outside of Texas A&M, that I might put some credence into it, is if it's Bobby Petrino.
Because he had him. Yeah.
But anybody else,
you saw him just as much as we did.
In a bowl game, that doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to put down Marcel. I was very impressed with him. But to say that based on one showing in a bowl game, that who knows how hard people are playing bowl games.
Don't be shocked if he beats him out or if there's an injury. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I would say this. I wouldn't be surprised. This is not a knock on anybody either. But I wouldn't be surprised if Marcel Reed became the number 2 quarterback based on what we saw. Now, Jalen Henderson played really well last year when he came in.
Limited sample size. My point is, it's just weird to throw out that quote.
Yeah, you don't go all in on the first card.
Yeah, like I'm very impressed with Marcel. I think he can be a great SEC quarterback. But we've seen very limited.
Right.
And backup quarterbacks have there's not a reputation, but there's a history of guys coming in and limited sample size and like everybody like, that guy should be the starter. He might be. He might be that good, and he might get his turn next year.
You know what? If he's the best guy, I hope he does end up starting because I just want the wins. But
you could start Olin Buchanan at quarterback, and if we're gonna win,
we're gonna win.
Well,
if you have good running backs, I can hand off as good as anybody. But I'm still sold on Connor Wigman. But I will say this: Marcel Reed, and he needs to get bigger, and everybody knows that. And maybe he has, but Marcel Reed has the qualities that I want in a quarterback.
I like him. I like him a lot. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm just saying that I don't know. We for an anonymous SEC coach who has not seen him practice, if this is true, right, or only play in a bowl game, I'd be really, like my quote would be, I'd be really excited about the potential that Marcel Reed has shown. Well, that's more, I think, realistic.
But you know what? I'll say this: I'm sold on Connor Wigman, but if Marcel Reed turns out to be the starting quarterback, all that tells me is you're even better than I thought.
Yeah, because we know Connor's good. Let me read another one. This sounds like Coach Elko said it, but it's not Coach Elko. They could be really scary on defense. This is not going to be a first-year head coach situation. Elko knows the personnel. They're really talented.
Yes. And you know what? I bet they even try to rush the passer. You know?
They even try to rush the passer.
You know? Early in the game, I bet they don't put tight ends, defensive ends, and take them out of pass rush and try to cover downfield. And, you know, if they have – I bet they let their starting defensive linemen play more snaps than their backups.
The program has a chance to shift the entire identity this season to hard-nosed, defensive-minded, all that stuff, which really can fit that place. That could be a hell of a place to play.
I think that's the best quote and probably the most accurate quote of all of them.
Yep.
Is because I think A&M did lose. You know, when A&M's been good, it's been, you know, they've had some physical teams usually. So I think A&M wasn't as physical as usual in the last couple of years under Jimbo. There's more image than substance.
Unfortunately. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. 979-693-1150. That is our phone number. You can call that number. We'll pick it up on the hotline, or you can text that number, 979-693-1150. What do you think about those quotes there? This is Coffee Talk, by the way, presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of the mornings by going to TexAgs.com/coffee. Let's give away some coffee, OB. The Mavs did it in 5 games. How about texter number 5?
Works for me.
Texter number 5, text in the word coffee. We'll get you a free bag of TexAgs coffee. Send that to 979-693-1150. Let's go around the room and say hello to the people. We go behind the glass. We say hi to Nick Savage, who worked a late night last night because the Bombers, were they bombing away?
They did. They won 5-1 on opening day. A little delayed start, so a little tired, but that is the grind of the summer season. So you kind of got to embrace it. It's fun. Happy to be back out there.
I was driving in from the airport and flipping through the channels and on the.
You listened to a little Nick Savage?
I know that voice. There's Nick Savage calling the game.
Oh, by the way, I did hear this quote, Ag Engineering 12. I didn't know which one you were referring to. Let me just say this, because I want Nick to respond and Olin Buchanan to respond. I'll give you first and last name, all right? Did you all see the Grambling players' comments about playing at Olson? Cameron Buford said, I played in the 2014 Little League World Series. This is nothing new for me.
Okay.
I did see that. You know who else played in the Little League World Series?
A couple of Aggies, right?
Ali Camarillo.
Ali Camarillo.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, and I saw this, I haven't fact-checked it, by the way, but Cameron Buford, who I'm sure is a delightful young man, also played on that Little League World Series team that I believe the parents got in trouble for cheating.
Oh, no way.
Where the kids were on it. And by cheating, not like
they were older than they should have been.
I don't know if that's
was
I think they were
Danny Almonte.
Yeah, Danny Almonte. This was more of he was playing in the wrong region kind of thing, which isn't terrible, but I guess there's rules. So sorry.
Well, look,
I read that on Twitter by some baseball insider.
Okay, if the kid feels like, hey, you know what, I played in big venues and in big situations, I'm up for this. Okay, I don't have a reaction to that.
When you can back up your talk, I'm okay with talk, okay? But it kind of goes back to the CDC comments from the other day that Rick Lozano on Twitter came at me. Not came at me. He thought I misread, or CDC was being funny in the moment, like just kind of enjoying. I just think there's a class that I would want my players to have or my athletic director to have. And by the way, sometimes when it's reversed, when it's my athletic director or my player or my coach who says something brash, I can put on those maroon goggles and be like, yeah, more of that.
Yeah, did Joe Castiglione go, yeah, more of that?
No, he did not.
No, he did not.
No, he was just kind of like, hey, this is awkward. But yeah, I see what you're saying. CDC was having fun, and this young man is just saying, hey, this is not too big of a moment for me. I played in the Little League World Series 10 years ago. Cool, I get it. That being said, I want my players to show respect no matter what. We were excited about playing in this venue.
But did he disrespect it?
I don't know if he did. I don't know. I didn't hear the tone.
But say the quote again if you have it.
I played in the I'm saying it rudely.
Okay.
Let me say it back. I played in the 2014 Little League World Series. This is nothing new for me.
Well, how is that a slight at A&M?
I think people want to take it as a slight.
That's what, but I'm saying.
I look at it as, but you can say it. I didn't hear there's context, right? You need to hear more, the beginning, the middle, the end. This is nothing new for me, but I have a lot of respect for Olson Field.
Now,
Blue
if the kid, hey, look, this is a dump. I don't care what it looks like. I'm not impressed with this. I played in the Little League World Series, and that was a better venue than this. All right, then I can see. Well, how can you say? But yeah.
People think I'm wrong.
Aggies, I love you, Aggies. I do, and I'm thankful for you. But sometimes you get a little bit too thin-skinned and worked up about things that just aren't an issue.
I'm going to say this, and I'm right. Every fan base does. Every fan base.
But you know what? I don't care about any other.
Okay, I'll give you that. But every fan base.
I make fun of every other one.
This is true. So you're making fun of us?
I said,
you Aggies.
I said what I said. I'm not making fun of them. I'm just saying that sometimes.
I do agree. We are sometimes thin-skinned, and I know I'm very thin-skinned.
Like I always hear, it used to be a big deal. Like, hey, this team's coming into Kyle Field to play a football game. Do you think, how do you think they're going to handle this and all that? It's like, these are SEC teams. They go into hostile environments every week. Do you really? I mean, it's not a slight at A&M, but do you really think that? If I played at LSU and I played at Alabama and I played at Auburn, now I got to come.
But you know what though? I kind of don't mind if my players take it personally. I kind of don't mind if my fans take it personally what he said, because let's make life hard on him. Oh yeah, you've been in this environment before. Let's go.
No, I'm saying, hey, do the best you can to affect the game. I'm saying that. All I'm saying is that I've seen he thinks that, Kyle Field's not a big deal. I'm just saying, when you play in those environments in a weekly basis,
it's not going to be too big of a moment for you.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Ag Engineering says, I think y'all are taking this the wrong way. LOL.
Which one? The Conte or the kid or
all?
Yeah.
He didn't. He'll provide some.
Well, I mean, the kid. I agree with Conte. Maybe he was joking. I think the beer might have been talking. Even though I don't know that he was drinking. It sounds like it.
It did sound like it. And you know what though? As Rick said on Twitter, guys on the beach having fun, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
So whatever.
He's living a heck of a life.
Let's go to the angry.
Making millions of dollars.
Oh, I would love that. Would you be drunk on Feinbaum's show if you were making millions of dollars?
I'd be drunk probably everywhere.
Yeah. No, you wouldn't. You don't drink that much.
I'd start.
Eric Casares, big Mavs fan, Luka fan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Feeling good this morning. Game day yesterday. Feeling good. Ready to go.
Yeah. What do you got for us this morning? Because we're kind of up against the break.
Yeah. So getting into it. Number 3 Texas A&M baseball team getting ready for Omaha. We were talking about it a little bit. You mentioned some of the stats. Number 3 overall seed, highest in school history. Talking about 38th overall, being in all-time in the NCAA tournament. I have a couple other stats for you. So 78-52 all-time regional record, 5-2 regional record under Slosh, back-to-back championship games. This will be their 10th super regional in program history if they advance. 3rd meeting all-time versus Grambling, 2-0 in those outings, outscoring them 17-7. Offensively, Texas A&M ranks 4th in homers per game, 5th in homers, 6th in slugging percentage, 6 in walks, 13 in runs, 16 in scoring, and 19 on base percentage. So get ready to go. Even though I hope this rain goes through, and we'll have a good game today.
The old sisteroo today, Billy Liucci at 9 o'clock, 9:07. 9:09.
There you go.
And baseball bunch at 10. We had to flip it around today. And I do want to read this from Andrew Fry because I like this one. He goes, my take was the Little League World Series or travel ball parents are so toxic that college fans aren't anything to be afraid of. That's the best point.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. We'll hit a break. We'll do 3 things we want to see. And I got some good ones for you, Obi.
Okay,
I got some good ones. Ready? Right now, we're looking for, if you're looking for a reason to come back to the associate. Oh, my gosh, I'm all over the place. If you're looking for a reason to come back to Aggieland, the association says, come on, come work for us. We're not hiring everybody. You got to be elite at what you do. But I know you're Aggies, right? So you are elite at what you do. They're looking to hire professionals in many different departments out there, fundraising, former student programs, marketing, you name it. They are the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization supporting A&M and support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here out there. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Reading Day, class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. So if you're interested in joining a team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.aj/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. Estamos aquí, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. 3 things we want to see, OB. Do you want to go first?
Well, you said you have some really good ones.
I mean,
so if you're proud of them, you go ahead.
I mean, I'm not. They're Captain Obvious proud, but I'll give it to you. I'm actually really proud of my bank on it, but this is different. Okay. Tanner Jones. What I want to see?
Yeah, see him
breeze through Grambling State. Okay. 6+ innings, 8 strikeouts. Okay. It's been a minute since he's pitched. I think May 5th is the last time he pitched. Let's go, Tanner, and just give us a little hope, baby, because this offense is going to erupt in here. All right. So that's 1. 2, offensive eruption. Okay. And you're going to hear more about that offensive eruption on Bank on it because I got a prediction for tonight. That being said, let's remind folks who we are. You talk about things I want to see? That's what I want to see.
Well, I want to put a different spin on it. I want to say the things I don't want to see.
Cool. That's coming in a second. I got one more for you.
Okay.
Texas and Louisiana tonight. Play deep into the night. If you need to go extras, go extras. Use every pitcher you have. I don't care. I want you to be tired. I want you to be worked. I want it to be easy. Yes, a lot of people enjoy when it's a difficult journey to the championship. I don't want that. I want easy peasy all the way.
No stress.
No, I want 0 stress in my life, okay? This is a big
like
weekend
the
for me.
Mavericks game last night.
Mavericks game, I liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch the first quarter. I was, whoa, we're killing them. Great, right? They win. They're going to the finals. Real Madrid plays in the championship game tomorrow. I hope we win, and I hope the Aggies breeze through this thing. So Texas and Louisiana, please play deep into the night. OB?
Yeah, I don't want to see a lot of walks from Texas A&M pitchers, right? I think, just throw some strikes and make the other team win. Don't help them out at all, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to be fine, especially tomorrow. I don't want to see, double figures or even high single figures of strikeouts by A&M batters. I want to see them get that ball in play. And you know what? I understand what you're saying, but I just don't want to see Texas win. Yeah. Not that I'm
like you're saying tonight or in general?
In general.
Yeah.
But specifically tonight. Not that I have anything, there's any apprehension about the Aggies playing Texas if they have to. I mean, they've already beaten them soundly.
I think they're a different team than they were then. And A&M hopefully is not a different team, but I think Texas is definitely playing at a higher level. I respect all the teams that are here, especially Louisiana and Texas, but I listened to Bronny and Zane yesterday. He thinks it's a better matchup to play Texas.
Well, it may be.
I think he phrased it that way. Yeah.
But you know what? I like Lafayette, Louisiana. They have a lot of good restaurants there, so I'll root for the Cajuns for no other reason. For that, I'll root for them for their food.
Before we hit
I'm always going to root against Texas.
Always. Take that, Texas. You're listening. Let's go behind the glass quickly because Nick Savage has got a update for us.
Okay.
Yeah, so A&M baseball is not the only A&M team in the postseason now. I know most of the teams have wrapped up, but I become the TexAgs beat reporter for the rodeo team this time of year. But 6 cowboys and cowgirls from the A&M rodeo team are heading up to Casper, Wyoming for the College National Finals Rodeo. That's Gavin French, Trace Harris, my boy, Tylee McDonald, Madison Uther, and Madeline Richards, and Emma Smith. So those 6 cowboys and cowgirls are heading up there. So good luck to them.
Couldn't you see Nick Savage as a cowboy?
He was a cowboy.
Did you ride bulls or anything, Nick?
No, my dad was on the A&M rodeo team when he was in school here. Unfortunately, I didn't have the blessing of, growing up on a ranch or something. I would have loved to have been a bull. I mean, I'm not saying I have the you-know-what to be a bull rider. But
cojones?
Exactly, yeah. But I think those guys are those guys are elite.
Could you be a clown?
Yeah.
No, I could be. People already say I am. But
Hey, Nick, I got a show for you to watch. I know you love rodeo stuff. I got a great show for you to watch. My kids had this on the other day. I think you'll love it. Have you ever heard of the show Girl Meets World?
I have.
It's a spinoff of Boy Meets World. It's 2 kids, right? There's an episode where they go to an Austin rodeo. And
bro, that's going to make me angry. That's not
the footage. I was walking by. I'm like, what in the world are you watching? And it was such great footage.
An Austin rodeo.
That's what they call it.
Was it like for real footage or was it like a scene?
There was a little snippet of for reals, but overall it was like a set. Like I think you should watch it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived in Mesquite, Texas a long time ago, and they have a rodeo like every week.
Do they really?
Yeah, the Mesquite Rodeo. Yeah, big deal.
Let's hit a
I
break.
thought they used to. I'm sure they still do.
I don't think you've ever met Scott Livingstone, have you?
I've never met him. I've seen him play for the Detroit Tigers against the Texas Rangers.
You're about to see him in studio. I saw him walk around the lobby. We'll talk to him next here on TexAgs Radio. Right now, FBS Appliance, their team of experts, are there to help you find the appliances that make your home your house a home out there. Carrying the brands that you love out there, making life easier with appliances to fit any of your budgets. We used them at our house when we moved in. Seamless, easy. It was great. They're carrying for Texas since 1988. They have all the trusted brands you want out there, like Bosch, with an expert staff and trained installers to guide you through the purchase, because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Their services don't stop at sales. They offer expert installation carried out by skilled technicians who are factory trained. And they're committed to customer satisfaction at the core of everything that they do. That's why they've assembled a great team of associates and professionals that are experts in their field. Visit them at any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online, factorybuilderstores.com. Again, FBS is factorybuilderstores.com. Go check it out. Little Aggie baseball time. Again, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Scott Livingstone in studio. Finally get to meet you face to face. How are you, kind sir?
I'm doing great. I just wish this rain will go away, but
right?
Everything else is great.
Are you here for the entire weekend tonight? What's the plan?
No, I'm only here through Saturday.
Okay.
My brother finally gave up his tickets after about 25 years of letting me finally see a game.
Right.
And so I get to use these because he's on vacation.
So it's going to be an electric atmosphere. Hopefully,
wait. You mean A&M can't just Can't just pull strings and get you into the game. You have to get your brother's tickets.
Would you say that again, please? I didn't hear that.
You know, A&M today, we got along with a Major League Baseball player. Let's just roll out the red carpet.
When the new stadium comes, we got the extra seats. Yes.
I again did not hear you.
So, Ball 5 podcast, you started it within the last 10 months, right?
This fall, yeah, I guess right before the spring.
Yeah.
Just to get it going, and it's fun. I enjoy doing it. It's fun meeting the guys. You also, when I'm interviewing the guys online, of course, I'm not Mr. Technology, so Zoom was a little bit of a tough. Editing was new to me.
Yeah.
It's not like I went to school for that. And so it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, but meeting the guys, it's really cool to watch them on the field, and you know what they do on the field, but how great they are off the field and as they are as young men. Because I watch your show. I mean, this place is awesome. I'm so pumped to be here. And it's great to see how they are and how they act and just know them personally.
Well, we love having you on the show. The most recent episode, you said Will Johnson came in, or you guys zoomed together and kind of broke down A&M baseball overall and a little bit about the regional.
Yeah, Will follows it a lot. I was actually surprised how much he knew because, in the minor leagues, you're playing every day. And even though he's pitching, but he's still at the park, right? Mm-hmm. So he says every time I can watch a game, and the knowledge that he had, I mean, he's a smart guy anyway. And so the knowledge that he had about everybody and talking about the bullpen and Coach Weiner and those guys, I mean, it was a good interview.
What are your thoughts on the regional itself? Texas is here, Louisiana's here, Grambling State.
I feel good about it. I actually feel real good about it. We don't know a lot about Grambling, but you can look at film, and I know they're 26-26, and they're going to bring probably a good pitcher in. I think he's 12-2, mm-hmm. And so this is probably their shot. And then after that, Texas, Raging Cajuns are always going to be tough. They're going to play hard, and they got Coach Deggs. And so having him over there, he knows a little bit about the Aggies.
Yep.
And so to me, that's probably going to be the toughest matchup. I'm not worried about Texas.
Yeah, you say that with a smile too.
Yeah, it feels good.
Let's talk a little bit about when you get time off, right? So Tanner Jones, for instance, has not started a game since May 5th. It's been a while for him. The Aggie baseball team left Hoover probably earlier than we wanted, but probably what the bodies needed. When you get time off like that, what does it do as you do get started here in a regional?
Well, I talked about it earlier about, as a hitter, you want your reps. You want consistent reps. You don't want to miss a week, 2 weeks, or have time off, especially if you have an injury in the big leagues, you go on rehab to get yourself back and fresh and back on point. I think the coaches, Coach Sloss and those guys, they're going to have them as prepared as can be, and I'm sure they've been doing some inter squads and scrimmage and stuff and seeing live pitching. So I think this coaching staff's amazing, and I think they're so knowledgeable, and it's a top-notch staff, and I think they're going to have them ready. And I think Sloss said it before earlier, actually on this show, that sometimes you just need to be punched in the mouth. And they've finally been punched in the mouth. And so I think it's time that, I think it's good. I think it's good for them. It's tough you can't win a championship without a few bumps in the road.
Yeah, I don't want many bumps. I want it to be as easy as possible. Do you think we get back to seeing Braden Montgomery being Braden Montgomery?
Definitely.
Yeah.
That type of hitter, you can't keep him down for a long period of time. And I tell you what, one thing that Will said on my Ball 5 thing is that he saw him as a smart hitter. When they did the Stanford Regional, mm-hmm. they scouted those guys, and he said when he watched him on film that he doesn't say this about a lot of hitters, but how smart he is. And you fool him with a changeup, you're not going to fool him again. And so he can make those adjustments. And I think he'll be locked and loaded. It's going to be fun.
Do you think generally, guys, when you get into the playoffs that maybe a frame of mind or an approach or anything changes, or do you just try to stay the same way? I mean, do you become more locked in or even more focused, or do you just try to be the same guy you've been all season?
I think most people, yes, they probably try and focus harder based on what the reward is, and they're closer to it. But with this squad, the way you hear these guys talk about, it's opening day. We're just going to play our game. We don't care, and it's not any disrespect. We don't care what the name is on the jersey or who the opponent is. As long as we play our game, we're going to be fine and we're going to win. And I think, yeah, they haven't done it. They've had a couple tough matchups with some pitching and stuff, but like I said before, I don't think that there's anybody that can beat us 2 days in a row.
Yeah, I guess what I was going to do you go in to say, hey, it's now the playoffs? You know, do you feel the need to actually, you know, ratchet things up a bit, or do you say is the smart approach to say, hey, let's just be who we've been all year?
But there's probably a little bit more focus, though, right?
Yeah, maybe. But I wondered, is it possible to put more pressure on yourself that it can be counterproductive?
Oh, it definitely. It's definitely tough sometimes because you will put more pressure on yourself. I just think this environment will just seem normal to them because it's almost seems like every crowd and the way the 12th man's into it is like a playoff game anyway. And so it's just, I think it'll be the same for them. And the coaches, like I said, they're going to have them so even keel. I really believe they're in a good space.
Ryan Prager, we assume tomorrow will go, especially if A&M win. He'll definitely go if A&M loses today, but we assume he'll go against either Texas or Louisiana if A&M's able to beat Grambling State. What have you seen from him this year, the growth and just the consistency?
Well, it's kind of like when I talked to Will, and he told me about Max Weiner, and you guys have heard it all year, fill up the zone, and throw strikes. And Will mentioned something about a 94% rule that if you throw the first strike, you're either gonna have strike one, you're gonna get the ball back. 6% of the time, it's gonna be a ball, or they're gonna get hit. And so, those type of percentages, I think Ryan has really been the epitome of that because he's just filled up the strike zone. And I like his changeup, and he told me that was a new pitch that he was working on, and I see him use it, and I think it's been huge for him to have that. And he just gets so many swing and misses on his slider, and then that sneaky fastball because he throws a lot off speed. He kind of pitches backwards, which a lot of them do. Yeah. A 2-0 count, they throw a slider sometimes, not all the time, but when they pitch backwards like that, their fastball is going to look much faster.
5 years from now, hopefully we're looking back on a championship, but we're looking at what Braden's doing in the big leagues, what Jace is doing in the big leagues, what Gavin's doing in the big leagues, and a host of others. How do you think we're going to look back at that top of that lineup?
People talk about the '89 season too, and that was a special season. It was at that time. I was thinking about this as I was driving in. This is a special season and special time. I mean, what the fans are witnessing, what they're seeing. I mean, I know a lot of good players. I've seen a lot of good baseball, but what they're seeing right now, it's a special team. And people are going to look back at this and be like, wow. And they're going to talk about it for a long, long time.
But don't they have to get to Omaha for that to really be the talking point? Like it can't, if it ends this weekend, yeah, we had a chance. But if they make it to Omaha, that's where those legends are born.
Yeah, I think so a little bit, but we still talk about the '89 season.
Yeah.
And they didn't make it. And so I think, I don't know. That's a good question because I think everybody's different in how they see it. And I just think that this is a special season.
Any of those players remind you of you?
All of them rolled in together.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. What'd you say about tickets earlier? No, not really. No. These guys are special. I mean, I was a good player, and we talk about the home runs, and I think, what is Jace, like one away, or does he have 50?
He's got 26 this year, and 28 this year, and 21 last year.
Okay.
That would be 49.
49, yeah.
We got that together. Yeah, so, I never thought of myself as a home run hitter. The year I hit 19, I actually missed 10 games because of separated shoulder. But the years before, I hit 10 and 7, and I'm not sure what I had. But to me, I was more of I would like to say complete player. I stole bases. I had not like, a Tyner or somebody like that, but I had stolen bases and doubles and stuff like that. But I don't think I was as much of a threat as these guys are.
Let's wrap up with this. What's the key to this weekend, in your opinion?
I just stay the same. What do they say? Slow the heartbeat?
Yep.
Slow the heartbeat down and just stay the same because these guys they're going to be confident going into this weekend, but I don't think they're going to be overconfident. And because they're just good players and special team. I mean, it's just special staff, special year.
35-3 at home.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. I think, what is Arkansas, the other one that's got somewhere around that as far as at home?
And they haven't lost a non-conference game. So if they do that, they'll be in Omaha if they continue that trend.
Yeah, and they're comfortable here. And a lot of it's credit to the 12th man. They love the fans. And just like Will said, he said earlier, he goes, we run into people in pro ball, and they're like, I hated playing at your place, but I loved playing at your place. So,
Scott, thank you so much for coming in, man. We'll do it again.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome,
yeah,
for
man,
sure.
For sure. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Kay Naegeli with Around Aggieland, and, of course, bank on it. That next on TexAgs Radio. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's do a little bank on it before we bring on Kay Naegeli, but she can bank on something. Bank on it, brought to you by Vera Bank, authentic relationship-based banking built for real life. Go see Joel Jackson and the team. Learn more at verabank.com. Olin, what are you banking on?
Well, I have to admit, the fruit's kind of low-hanging, but I'm gonna bank on the Aggies to win and hit a lot of home runs today.
I'm glad you said that, OB.
Okay.
I'm banking on A&M tying the home run record, all-time home record tonight. Okay? They have 124. The record's 128. They're going to tie it at least, right?
4.
And they're going to break it this weekend, obviously. They're hitting over 4 home runs. That's my bank on it. I think that is perfect timing for what I think we're going to see this weekend.
And you can take that to the bank.
You can take it to the bank. And if I'm wrong, don't remind me on Monday. But if I'm right, I will tell everybody. Okay, what do you want to bank on?
Per Matthew Dawson in the back, he had a good little note. Gavin Grahovic is 1 home run away from the freshman home run record, I believe.
They both got 21. Jason had 21. He has 21.
Yes, so I think we could see one tonight, possibly.
22, breaking the record. Are you banking on it?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe so.
That record stood for one whole year.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. Kay Naegeli. By the way, nickname. Hold on. Full-time grammar police, Kay Naegeli.
Grammar police.
That's what I'm supposed to call you, right?
That is true. Nick is in your ear in the back letting you know that.
You said it right here like 4 minutes ago. Yeah.
Grammar police is a new addition.
Are you
no, I'm not. I just like that. I
grammar?
think we should all be civil in the way that we post things, and Mr. Richard Zane has instilled that in me. So I'm just making sure with our new little class of interns that we're all on the same page. So just helping out the team.
And he's Mr. Grammar as well.
He is. That is true. He's the OG Mr. Grammar.
Yeah, old guy.
The OG.
Like old.
The old
guy.
Like ancient gangster. AG. He's
Like-
the AG. He's the PG. Prehistoric OG.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was rude. I apologize. It's going to be
Just
me here.
calling him old.
I guess I'm closing in on the DG.
What was Moses like, OB? Well, how was Moses? Was he good? Good day?
Yeah, he was,
Sorry.
Good.
He can get you across the sea fast.
Those dinosaurs, did you ride them?
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Oh, man.
I don't know why I do that. I'm old, too.
I'm an old guy. It's okay. It means I've lived long.
Yeah, when Richard's in here, I'm the old guy.
It means I haven't died yet.
Okay.
That's a good thing.
I think we have to go around Aggieland. Take us around a
we
journey.
do. So 2024 NC Tournament Baseball will begin today as the Aggies host Louisiana, Texas, and Grambling State in the Bryan-College Station Regional. The Aggies will face off with the Tigers today at noon. That is if the weather will allow that. But
I'm
that
banking
field
on it.
crew, yeah, that's another thing you could bank on is a start time that's going to be noon because we know that field crew can get it done. And then the Longhorns and Raging Cajuns will play at 5 p.m. today. Saturday, the losers of both games will play 2 p.m., winners 8 p.m., and then they will keep playing Sunday and then Monday if necessary. Tonight's pitching matchup is Tanner Jones versus Mason Martinez. Mason Martinez has pitched in 112 innings, quite a bit compared to any of the Aggie pitchers. On the similar front, on the other side of the diamond, this happened last week, but I did want to shout it out. Texas A&M softball, Mac Barbara is transferring to Texas A&M. She can hit for power and average. She can play a variety of positions, and she has a 380 average, 14 home runs, and 49 RBI. And I believe she was at, I need to look where she was at, San Diego State. Thank you, Nick. So that is a great addition, and Trisha Ford and them are hitting the portal hard, even though their season just ended. So props to Mrs. Trisha Ford. Also, track and field front, 25 Aggies punched their ticket to the Outdoor National Championships at the NCAA West first round, and they will compete in Eugene, Oregon next weekend. So best of luck to Pat Henry and co.
Awesome stuff, Kay. Thank you very much.
Of course.
Busy weekend?
I have a wedding this weekend. Shout out to my first.
You're getting married?
No, I am not getting married. My first cousin Mary is getting married. So
Mary's getting married.
Mary is marrying Will. So marry Will, marry Will.
So
it's
they
like
say,
their hashtag. It's kind of
Mary, will you marry me?
Yeah.
Mary, will you marry Will?
I don't even know if I want to comment on this anymore. I think I've lost interest.
Grammar police over here.
Congratulations to Mary and Will. You got a joke?
Who will marry?
Who will marry Mary?
Mary and Will marry.
Eric, read us a quick text to help this segment end correctly. Your mic's got to be on, though, so you just ruined the entire segment.
Hello? Can you hear me? I don't know why I did
still
that.
can't hear you.
Okay, it says, so Madden in Houston said, what worries me about Montgomery is he's only hitting 6 home runs and 20 RBI since April 18th. His batting average dropped 66. I don't know what's going on with my mic, man.
It's all right. I'd rather not read it anymore. He's going to be fine. How's that sound?
Hey, just be the guy you've been, Brandon. Just be the guy you've been.
In most of the season.
Most of the season.
Before April 9th.
Hey, he's been coming out of the slump.
He's OB. Thank you for coming.
I'm always
OB.
in a slump.
Okay, great job. Coming back, Billy Liucci. Billy Liucci next.
Sorry, David. Just wanted the song to play a little longer.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the 9 o'clock hour. Billy Liucci will be joining us here momentarily. We'll probably call him on the phone just to check on him here in a second. A couple things I do want to get into. Obviously, we're going to do a lot of baseball throughout the show. We will talk football with Billy here. Something I wanted to talk with OB about that I was not able to get into was Athletic Director Trev Alberts. He spoke a couple different times from Florida, and OB was there for all of it. And OB wrote about it that he expects no ill will towards Texas. And I know some people took that not the way they wanted to take it, but let's kind of go through it. He goes, there will be no acrimony between the two of us. Obviously, we want to do well against each other. That's what makes college sports. It's regional rivalries. It's what builds excitement. When you have programs like Texas and Texas A&M in the same state, this close together, it's going to be fantastic. We're thrilled about it. We're looking forward to the rivalry. It should be noted, this is what OB writes in there. It should be noted that this, too, will be Albert's first year in the SEC, and he still has some learning to do. Here's the thing, guys. If we're going to base trash talking on athletic directors versus each other, I don't think we're there yet, right? I don't think that it's going to be played on the field. It's going to be played with the fans. That's just the bottom line. Look, I'm excited about this, no doubt, and I can't wait to see these teams play this weekend. Just watching the softball chatter that I've seen, it's funny. Like, people who have never watched softball. I have a couple of Texas fans on my Facebook page that go, enjoy the long journey back to College Station, ha, horn stuff, whatever they say. And I'm sure A&M will do it back if A&M is able to win this weekend in the regional, right? So I can just imagine what football is going to be like. Let's go to the hotline. We are joined by the Billy Liucci, executive editor, co-owner of TexAgs Radio or of TexAgs.com. Billy, good morning, buddy.
Nuño, how are you?
I'm well, buddy. I was just kind of going over Trev's quote from yesterday, and I know we got a lot of baseball to get into, some football from spring meetings, but while I was waiting for you, I read Olin's article, and it says, there will be no acrimony between the two of us. Obviously, we want to do well against each other. This is what makes college sports. It's regional rivalry. It builds excitement. When you have two programs like Texas and Texas A&M in the home state close together, it's going to be fantastic. We're thrilled about it. We're looking forward to the rivalry. That's what an athletic director should say. Good. The trash talking will happen between us and the fans on Twitter and in games and what happens this weekend and beyond.
Well, I hope it happens between the players, too.
Yeah.
I hope they hate each other. I'm not that confident of it, unfortunately. I think the days of that level of hatred and vitriol between competitive athletes have come to an end. I'll be honest with you, that is why I have really started to like these Mavericks. And I'm not bandwagon. I'm hoping they win it from the standpoint of, and you know me, it takes me a while to warm to Dallas teams, being a Houston guy, but I liked those Rangers last year. I didn't like them beating the Astros. I was at Game 7. That was miserable. But like the way Garcia was just talking trash and backing it up. And I'm watching Luka last night in a closeout game, like what he did to Gobert. Gobert's a cheap, dirty player. I'm okay with that too. It is what it is. Gobert's a cheap, dirty player. You see what he did through that whole series, and Luka's just sitting there giving it to him after that three, humiliating the guy, laughing in the press conference about it. And last night he hits a shot, and there's a fan in the stands, probably about like Olin's age or my, like way too old to be doing the crybaby eyes to Luka. And he comes down, hits a shot, and just starts MFing him as loud as you could yell to a fan. And some people say, well, that's over the top. I don't think it is. You're dialed up to that level of competitiveness. You're taking that stuff that seriously. It's your life, man. And I want the players at Texas A&M to hate Texas beginning this weekend. They can be friends off the field. We've all got plenty of Longhorn friends, but this is a rivalry, man. I don't think we need the athletic director adding fuel to the fire. I don't think I like my ADs to act like ADs. And there's something about it, just like I like my president to act like a president, regardless of political affiliation. I don't need them to be, the center of attention. I think that's what Trev Alberts is. I know yesterday or whenever he was recording the conversation, Trev said, we're going to record it, video it? And Olin said, well, Billy likes videos. So, he's not about that. And I don't think you'll see him give any bulletin board material, but you can bet your ass that a guy that played at Nebraska in the very early 90s for Tom Osborne in the black shirt is as competitive as they come, and also, oh, by the way, understands what a rivalry is. I'll let you in on a little secret. Nebraska-Oklahoma, Nebraska-Colorado. That dude knows rivalries. And but that's for the players and the coach. I don't know where I stand on the coach. I like a coach that kind of doesn't really say it on the mic, but will say it behind closed doors. So I hope Mike Elko stirs them up to really despise all things burnt orange now that the Aggies are playing them again. And by the way, Nuño, talking about ADs yesterday, or I've got an opinion when I come in there in about 3 minutes. So
the CDC.
Anyway, continue. Yeah, continue.
Hey, so back to what you just said. You want the players to hate them. That happens when you play each other, right? So like this weekend, just like we saw in softball.
It should.
Well, we just saw in softball like a lot of respect between the two programs, right? But it got testy, it got heated. We're gonna start seeing that more often.
Love that.
Yeah, me too. That's where it starts. It can't be manufactured. It has to actually be organic, and it has to happen on the field.
Yeah, no question about it. But I'm just saying, in the day and age of players swapping jerseys after games and asking for pictures of each other, even the losing team, I like the way Luka was acting.
Yes.
I like more of those guys were ready to fight on that team than I ever see from the Dallas Cowboys, or that I've seen in a long time from the Houston Rockets. So I love that mentality. I saw it in that A&M softball team. Like down to the last strike, home run from a girl that had never hit a home run. The way they rose up time and time again, even in that loss on Sunday, with the 3-run homer there to bring them within a run at the end, they just straight up battled, man. And I'm all about that life, and that's why I am glad that Texas is in the SEC, because it is one thing that A&M has lacked. They had a nice thing going with Alabama in football. Just that was more born of the fact that the Aggies won that first game ever in the SEC with them, and that the Saban-Jimbo rivalry. It was almost more about the coaches, but Bama still dominated that rivalry. But it was they had a nice little thing going, and obviously, especially since Jimbo arrived, not before that, there's been a nice ton of storylines between A&M and LSU. And not even just in football, but especially in football. But that's not a rivalry. Yeah, LSU fans don't like A&M fans, and A&M fans don't like A&M. That is not a hate-filled rivalry. And I'm going to tell you this about LSU fans. They ain't got a rival anywhere close to what's coming in for A&M in the SEC. And I know Texas fans will tell you, well, OU's our biggest rival. Let this one start playing again, people. Let this one start playing again. Yeah, there's something different with the neutral site thing, but like I said, and Del Conte was saying it. He was talking about River, but there is two. They're about to have two of probably the top 4 rivalries in this league overnight with OU and A&M, and the Aggies are going to go from not having a rival at all, anything even remotely resembling a rival, to being one of the 2 biggest rivalries in this league, or 3 if you count Red River. It's going to be A&M Texas, Iron Bowl, A&M OU, and I'm not sure the order. I'm here.
Is your phone cracking
Goodbye,
out there?
David.
There you are. What's that?
Goodbye, David.
Goodbye. That was good talking.
Bye.
I don't know if that means I should take a break or if I should continue talking. It was kind of an awkward ending to that interview. As you know, it is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's do this. We'll hit a break. Why am I whispering, Erica Sars?
Because sponsorship?
You actually, like, I don't think I sound creepy doing that. You actually do sound creepy doing that. Do it again.
Sponsorship?
Yeah. I'm not gonna do that. That laugh was definitely creepy. I think we'll come back with Billy here in a moment. Let's hit an early break. Right now, Hush and Whisper time. Innovative distillery cocktail lounge founded to defy convention and distill true grain-to-glass spirits out there in the Verisco building of downtown Bryan. They've won a bunch of awards because, they've only been around for 5-6 months and already are winning awards for their awesome whiskey. And they've got other things there. White whiskey that they make. They've got the original vodka, the original gin out there, fermented, distilled, bottled in Bryan, Texas by using only the finest local ingredients and committed to the highest quality of production at Hush and Whisper. They want to share more than an exceptionally crafted spirit. They want to create an experience for you with curated authenticity distilled with purpose out there. They're a place you can enjoy a cocktail crafted with premium local spirits, but more than that, Hush and Whisper wants to inspire moments of discovery. You can book some tours out there. You'll love it. They come from local farmers to make their spirits after they've distilled the corn and the leftover mash, which is nutrient-rich. It's given back to that same farmer to feed the cow, so it's full circle out there. You can have official tastings to learn more about the nuances of flavor, not just spirits for shooting, but truly appreciating and enjoying. And you'll learn about the Kentucky Chew to prepare your palate out there. Reserve a tour, a tasting, and just a tasting itself. Book an event, a meeting, celebration. Come in for a mocktail or a cocktail out there. It is 219 North Main Street. They're open Thursday through Friday, 2 to 11, and then Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Again, that is Thursday and Friday, 2 to 11, and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., 219 North Main Street in downtown Bryan. Check out the website, hushandwhisper.com. Here we are, face-to-face here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci is in studio with us. So, of course, I had my take yesterday on the CDC thing. I thought he looked a bit inebriated, and that's just what I thought.
I mean, look, I don't prefer it. I heard y'all yesterday, and I was like, ugh, I don't. And then Dalton tweeted it, but Dalton's free in the wild now. And then someone else tweeted it, and they took it down for me. I'm like, I mean, you could, because here's the thing. You don't know anything.
I don't.
And I don't know, but here's the second thing. And I heard y'all talking about this morning. Like, so what? I feel like at that event, even now, at SEC Media Days, you're not going to be like that at the start of the day. In the mornings and during the work day, but there's something different. I have no idea. My bigger problem was the accent fluctuating. Who is P-Dub? And then and then there was a moment there where I thought, man, this guy starting to think he's McConaughey with the voice inflection, and it was like, then he went to like a country accent. That was my bigger issue. And look, we can rivals all we want. If somebody's out there, it's their first time in the SEC. They're having a big celebration. We all want to make fun of the celebration in Austin that's coming. You know why I want to make fun of it? Because those same clowns made fun of A&M 12 years ago when they did a celebration to join the SEC. So now all of a sudden it's cool. It's just amazing how they'll just blot things out that they once ridiculed. But I think it's cool. I think they should celebrate it. I absolutely do. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You are coming into the best league in the country. So
and a good time for them too.
If Del Conte and Castiglione from OU and they're out there on the beach in Destin and they're doing an afternoon show and they've been at probably all kinds of events, and if there happen to be a couple cocktails around them, well, by God, I'd be having them. I'd be enjoying them too, and I'd be toasting and saying, "Here we are."
But
so I'm not that worried about it.
I think my only, and I said this yesterday, I think I just didn't like putting down other rivalries. I didn't like that.
I don't think he was trying to put them down, and I do agree with Olin. And sometimes we're too sensitive. And so, by the way, people take what I say way too sensitively. Every day, everything I say. I was under an all-out, day-long assault yesterday. Knew I would be, but I did it anyway, to say, hey, let's tap the brakes on this Texas hype. And they're not coming in here as a juggernaut. They were not a juggernaut in the Big 12 last year. They had to fight and claw their way through several games against bad football teams. And I know they don't have the best schedule this year as far as the SEC goes, but they're going to have to fight and claw their way through games against teams with a lot more talent on the roster than Iowa State, than last year's TCU, than
U of H,
OU even. Maybe not OU. I don't know how many they'll play because they skip. Here's my whole talking point about that. They skip LSU, Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Missouri. LSU, Bama, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Missouri. You throw in Georgia, who they do draw, and get them at home. They miss 5 of the top 6 teams in the league per the preseason rankings. And I'm not going to go too far because then you start saying, well, you're ridiculing your own team in A&M by saying their schedule's not tough. It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they caught a real break there. They caught a real break. And by the way, I'm going to tell you something. At Mississippi State is a tough one. Look at their road games in the SEC because Oklahoma, they're at Arkansas, who should not be very good, at Vandy, who's garbage, and then they get A&M on the road. That's at the very end. But look, Kentucky, Florida, Georgia, and Mississippi State. Obviously, Georgia's tough anywhere, but Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Florida. You play those 3 teams in Starkville, Gainesville, or Lexington. Those are really, really tough ball games. And if you're not on your A game, you can be. If you're not the best team in the SEC, those teams certainly have a shot to beat you. I think they're
not
catching,
last year's Mississippi State team.
the usual Mississippi State in Starkville. Not even a few years ago under that other guy, whatever his name was. It lasted 2 years. But to me, I say celebrate it. I don't think he was talking trash on the rivalry. I think he was overhyping Red River. And for me to say that is something, because I think that's an incredible college football rivalry. But miss me with the 300,000 people outside. Well, yeah, they're outside. They're at the damn fair. They're not in the game. They didn't come to watch your football game. They came to partake in the fair and to people watch. And they came, so the environment around that day is incredible. But miss me with the 300,000, okay? And I don't even know if that's a real number. But 300,000 aren't coming to watch Texas OU. They're not playing at a racetrack in front of 180,000 people or whatever. It is a top-tier rivalry in college football, and it is absolutely a top 5, probably a top 3. I think it can make a case for being the biggest. It's that or the Iron Bowl. No one's going to concede the Iron Bowl to that one because it's the SEC. It's the Southeastern Conference. And by the way, it will never be a more important Southeastern Conference rivalry than the Iron Bowl. In the landscape of college football, I think it's right there with it, and you can make the argument because of the uniqueness of it and the 50-50 and being almost, equidistant there in Dallas and the Cotton Bowl. But as far as SEC rivalries go, that one will always sit at the top. Now, what's the interesting one? The interesting one's going to be, where do you rank A&M Texas? And I would have liked to have heard Del Conte talk about that, because I think what he would have done is probably downplayed it, because
he hasn't lived it.
It's also because they hate A&M so much. They don't want to admit that they hate A&M the most, but they do. Again, I live it every day. I know. They want to downplay it, marginalize it. We do the same thing to them. They want to downplay that rivalry. They want to play it. They're excited about it. But A&M Texas is what makes it so great, is so much what makes the Iron Bowl so great. And it's just
your brother, potentially, your neighbor,
family members, uncles, aunts, neighbors, friends in school growing up, just your boss, your employees, your coworkers, and that's not unique to Texas or Alabama, but there's something different in this state when it's two schools of that magnitude and that size and that history and tradition and all of the above. And that, to me, is why it's – and by the way, like Alabama and Auburn, they both recruit from the exact same pool. Most kids that are from this state that go to Texas could have come to A&M. Most kids that are from this state that go to A&M could have gone and played at Texas. Yeah. So there is that added thing to it as well. And the whole Thanksgiving thing, which is up for discussion, I go back and forth on it, of whether I want it Thanksgiving night or whether I want it.
Didn't Trev say it's not in the plans?
Well, Olin said he went back and retraced it for this year. And I don't think he was being coy. I think he was just saying, hey, this is what I know.
This is November 30th.
This year it's not. Meaning he probably hasn't even visited where it's going to be moving forward. They moved the Egg Bowl off of Thanksgiving, and everyone kind of raised an eye. Oh, maybe that's clearing the runway for A&M Texas. I also think that might have been like, hey, the NFL's starting to take over Thanksgiving. And that's kind of my thing with A&M Texas. I love it, and I love the history of Thanksgiving. I enjoy being home for Thanksgiving or here or whatever, Thanksgiving with the family and friends or whatever, and then kind of an off day to regroup and watch football, and then have everyone descend upon College Station Friday night, massive game on Saturday, or you're making that road trip down to Austin either Friday night or even Saturday morning if it's an afternoon or night game. So I would prefer like Black Friday or Saturday. I'll probably prefer Saturday. I feel like the NFL is now making a move on to Black Friday as well. But they've added NFL. Are they playing 3 games on Thanksgiving now or 4?
Nick, fact check.
It's the Lions, it's the Cowboys, and I know they've added at least one more. I feel like you don't have to look. They have. I feel like the NFL is taking over Thursday. And you play a Thursday night game in Kyle Field or at DKR, and I know the whole world, we act like the whole world's going to watch it, but everybody, it's just, I don't know that it will be like that outside these
3 on Thanksgiving, 1 on Black Friday.
Yeah, so 3 Thanksgiving games now. I feel like the NFL's kind of made their move on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
And by the time A&M Texas rolls around, because we're talking about casuals, right? People, just stop talking. I shouldn't have even said it. And they're back there debating the number of games. Like, I don't care. You got my point.
Yeah.
So, anywho, that's my thought. I think people get football fatigued. Maybe it's the tryptophan and the turkey, all the stuffing, dressing, whatever you call it, whatever you choose to call it. But it goes all day, and then all of a sudden at 7 o'clock at night until, 11, it's A&M Texas. Every Aggie, every Longhorn, they're tuned in for every second of it, and you're sitting on the couch with your friends and family or whatever. But I think a Saturday night or even a Friday night showcase would be my preference. I don't care much either way, though, to be honest with you. I'm not going to go kicking and screaming at any of those picks.
Did you have any takeaways from? And I'll go specific.
I like the idea of it just being the last game of the regular season. That's all that really matters to me.
Yeah. And by the way, I can't expect CDC or any of the younger generation, Aggies included, to know what it really feels like until you live it. Just like we're talking about the players.
Yeah.
Now, you can hate Texas and they can hate us because it's Texas and Texas A&M. But when the games start mattering in conference, that's where, and let's have more than a year. Let's have 4 years, and A&M wins 3 out of those 4. I guarantee you that rivalry is going to mean much more to them. A&M wins this weekend, and we eliminate them 2 out of the last 3 seasons in baseball. It's going to mean more, just like softball
probably
beating
means
us.
so much that they fire Pierce.
Yeah.
That'll probably be what it means. And Del Conte will start his coaching search.
Yeah.
He'll probably start it right here until he's told no, and then move it around. But I think Pierce, that's what
he's coaching
up
for his
against
job this weekend.
I believe so. Be interesting to see what kind of net they could cast, who they could go get, because that's, just like when A&M went coach shopping. If you think of the names, it was Schlossnagle, it was Tadlock, it was Godwin at East Carolina, who still got them rolling over there, and it was Vitello. Those were the names. I think that was a pretty fast search and done. But I think, if they get eliminated by Louisiana or A&M this weekend, I think that'll be, the biggest job on the market.
Do you think he keeps his job if they get out of this round?
No.
They have to make it to the
think
College
he
World
does.
Series.
I think he does if they make it back to Omaha.
Yeah.
And I don't think they ever have felt like he's like the biggest fit there. And I don't know that there's a belief that he's that guy to take them into the SEC and that level of competition. It's one thing to come into this regional and play one SEC team once or twice.
Right.
It's another thing to play them 10 series, 5 of them on the road, plus the SEC tournament, plus go meet them in the postseason, maybe 1, 2, 3 different times along the way to a championship. And I don't think there would be the confidence, but if he got them back for like the 3rd time in 4 years, that would be, I think, with the year they weren't, and me in a super regional, or at worst it's 3rd time in 5 years. But whatever it would be, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a lot at stake for everyone, and there's a lot of Slosh knows that this team right here can win a national title. Are they flawed? I've not said this from the beginning of the year. Do they have their weaknesses? Are they flawed? Yes. Are they an invincible baseball team? No. Are they one of the handful of teams that can win a national title? Yes. And that's been true all year.
Yep.
And like you said the other day, even in their slump, that they've been in, it's very close losses. It's a walk-off loss to, or I guess it was top 9, or was it walk-off? Top 9, ninth inning loss to Mississippi State when they throw their ace. Against you went with a opener and then pitch by committee.
Yep.
They throw their ace. They're almost a regional host. They beat you in the 9th. You know, LSU, who's red hot right now, you go down to Baton Rouge, you have a chance to win both those first 2 games in the 9th. You essentially run rule them on Sunday. You win 2 out of 3 against the top 5 Arkansas team. You run rule them on Sunday. This is the slump we're talking about. So even the slump, that tells you how good this baseball team is. I've watched a lot this year. Kentucky, A&M, North Carolina, Clemson, Arkansas, they've all got flaws and holes. The one team that I look at that I'm like, damn, they seem really good to me is Tennessee.
Yep.
And that doesn't guarantee them anything. Look no further than a couple years ago when they were much more dominant. But I still look at A&M, and Slosh knows this. I've got a team that can win the whole thing. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to get out of this weekend. It's not going to be easy in a super. I know everybody looks at that and they go, oh, California teams. Who are we kidding here? It's just a completely different style. They probably lack the physicality. They're playing 3 games. I love them having to come play in this heat and stuff, but all they got to do is get to 2. And if one of those California teams or West Coast teams came in here or any regional and won game 1, you're in trouble. And by the way, the Aggies got eliminated by a West Coast team last year.
Yep.
And that was the best one year in and year out. But I'm just saying.
And also had a chance in that
Nothing is going to come easy for this baseball team. But he knows they can. And then you got what's going on at Texas with Pierce. And he also knows, like, hey, if our bats come alive and we don't walk people, they probably are looking at that West Coast region going, hey, there's only one SEC team standing between us and Omaha. That's what I'd be thinking if I was Texas. You're not matched up in a super with Kentucky or Tennessee or A&M or, you're not having to beat them 2 out of 3. So, and in Louisiana, I'm going to tell you this. I watched them, I think it was last year. I'm almost positive they beat Miami. If they didn't, they gave them hell. They played Texas and Miami in that regional down there, and they were ultra competitive. They were here a couple of years ago. That game against A&M was really tight after they'd beaten TCU. So we know what Matt Degg's team's about. We know what's coming in here with them. That's a real baseball team coming in. So this weekend's going to be super tough. You hope that Tanner Jones can get them what they need today. I want to see the bats come out strong. It's tough. I don't care what anybody says. Grambling's got a pitcher that's 12-2, and as Slosh said, has command of the baseball. That's tough. That's like when Rudis comes in after Cortez, or you go from Rudis to Cortez. Rudis has different stuff than most of the SEC sees. And on some level, that's helped Aschenbeck, too. These guys that aren't these power arms, these big 6'3", 6'4" dudes that just pump it in there, 94, 97, 98, 100 in some instances. So the Aggies will have to adjust, and that's why sometimes these Tuesday nights they get in slow starts. So I'd like to see them come out hitting early and kind of make it known that, hey, we're not the 1 seed that's on upset alert this weekend.
Instead of break, we'll do more baseball on the other side. Right now, we're talking Costa Vida. Go say hi to Holly out there if you go to South College Station, or you're at Olson Field at Bluebell Park, right? You can go and hang out there at the third base line. They have a great menu: chili lime chicken, sweet pork burritos. They got sweet pork baja bowls. They have chips and queso. They have key lime pie. It is a place to go when you're there at Olson. Get yourself some fresh Mex done the right way. Also, if you go to the to the in-store there in South College Station. They got the home run combo still going on. The favorite of Jace Lavalette, number 12, Ryan Targotch. That home run combo is an entree with sweet pork enchiladas smothered in house-made queso with rice and beans and a large drink. You get that all for $11.99. Certainly go check it out. You'll love it. It's delicious food out there. Fresh Mex done the right way. They have breakfast there. They've got lunch. They've got dinner. Have your morning meetings right before you get to work or even during work, right? Stay there for lunch. Get yourself some quesadillas, a tortilla soup, whatever it may be. They are Aggie-owned and operated, 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. Again, that is 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida in South College Station. Alone. Billy Liucci in the lobby. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I know people called earlier. I apologize to Mr. Mike, I believe it was. Mr. somebody. Mr. Jones. It was Mr. Jones. Apologize to him. But I see Billy's making eye contact. He's working his way here. What text do you want to get into, Mr. Eric Casares at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center?
Yeah, so let's go to one on the YouTube page. It says, how many players from Ags baseball are homegrown, or are they all brought through the portal?
Is that a real question?
Yeah.
So Braden Montgomery is portal. Prager is obviously homegrown. Jace Lavalette is homegrown. Gavin Grahovic has grown home. Is it grown home? Homegrown.
Homegrown.
Caden Sorrell is homegrown. Look, they have some transfers, no doubt about it. Teddy Burton's a transfer. They've got Hayden Schott's a transfer. There's absolutely some transfers out there, but I think there's the right mix. The question, Billy, was about how many are homegrown versus transfers. This team has a great mix of both.
Yeah, I believe they do, and I think that's what you're going to – maybe it'll be a little less in the future, but I can't guarantee that. That just depends on the year and how things cycle, how your freshmen
develop.
I don't even know develop so much as allow themselves to develop. Like if you're not a starter as a freshman, you're developing during practice. So how many of them allow themselves to develop? How many of them are patient enough to sit 1 year and see the path to starting the second year? So each year that's going to be different, and there might be holes on your roster as a result of that. So, I mean, I think
no, just. I think this is our last segment of the hour. I don't know. Am I right, Nick? I think we're right.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll just do that because we had to go. For some reason, the weather caused some issues out here.
I've started using Brawny. I've told him his voice I've morphed from, like, I used to do a really good Brawny, and it still can, but it's now morphed to it's like 20% his voice and just this wild exaggeration of what, like, his voice is now solely just the kind of the foundation of my imitation.
Well, that's the best kind of.
As of now, I'm being told A&M's regional opener versus Grambling is still on schedule for 12 p.m. First pitch, despite the rough weather in and around the Brazos Valley. Gates will open at 10:30 this morning. Because when I was out there 10 minutes ago, he's like, ain't no way they're playing this game. There's no way, or there's no way it's starting on time. I'll tell you that. Probably more like 3 o'clock.
Well, I think I looked earlier.
Another round of storms coming through.
I thought the weather was supposed to be out this afternoon.
I've completely turned his voice into like a cartoonish thing. I need to get back to the basics with it.
You know, one thing I've noticed is my weather app.
High tide raises all ships.
That's something he would say. Your weather app will tell you something different than mine, even though it's the same weather app.
And even though we're sitting right next to each other.
Right next to each other, because it says no rain the rest of the day for us.
Interesting.
It's weird.
I don't know.
So let's get back on track quickly, or not quickly, but in this final segment, let's finish on the baseball thought before we move on to close out with some football.
I don't know that we need to.
You think we're done with baseball?
I think so.
Okay.
According to you, like what were you?
You were in the middle of a thought, and then we got.
I was just saying there was a world where like Grahovic would have gone. We're just talking. Everybody got my point.
Yep.
That year to year it changes on what the percentage is going to look like between the portal and high school.
We got a new addition or a new commit over the last couple of days. I don't think you've been on the show since then. Tyler Thomas committing there from Dickinson. Did I say there? I did say there.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Gosh, dog it. I'm noticing it now.
Out there in Dickinson.
Hey, out there.
To me, I love what they're doing. I would have said it before they added Tyler, and I'm saying it after for sure. I love what they're doing on the offensive line and in the secondary. And they're going to continue. I love what they did at quarterback with Longstreet. Mm-hmm. And they're going to continue to, just add to this class across the board. But secondary and O-line, they seem to be loading up, and they seem to be getting enough guys that even on the back end, if somebody, starts taking visits, and they're going to be fine. Like they're attacking need areas. And in Tyler Thomas, man, I look at him and I just think upside. I remember like a class that included, I'm not saying this class will be at that level, but and there are some tackles out there that could take it to that level though. But like Jake Matthews, Luke Jokel, Cedric Ogbuehi, I'm not talking about, hey, this class, if they get two of those Dallas area tackles, they have 3 first-round picks. That's not a sure thing at all. I'm saying though, on paper in high school, they had Jake, they had Luke, they had Ced, who was a top 15 player in the state. They had a guy by the name of Shep Klink, who no one talks about because he didn't end up cracking the playing rotation. An all-time name, Shep.
Three Stooges.
From Katy. And I think they even had a fairly highly regarded guy in Garrett Grambling. Garrett Grambling from, he was from Denton Guy or Denton Ryan, one of the two. And like your sixth guy late was a guy named Jarvis Harrison out of Navasota, who ended up starting on a top 5 team, a Cotton Bowl champion team, multi-year starter at guard, ended up getting drafted and played in the NFL. I'm not saying that Tyler Thomas is the 6th guy, but I'm saying he reminds me of Jarvis Harrison in terms of when you look at him and the athleticism and that just massive frame and that length and the agility and footwork that go with that, you look at him and go, man, if it comes together for him, that dude could skyrocket to the top of any O-line class. Yeah. It's there. And he's got some good tape too, but I just think you're looking at him and you're going, okay, in a couple of years, this guy could be really, really good. And I don't think, we're not talking about like Crownover, who is a project who may very well start this year, but he was not the finished product by any stretch. Right. Demetrius Crownover was very, very raw. This guy is built like an NFL lineman today. And imagine what he's going to look like in a couple of years under Tommy Moffitt. Wow.
As for the other positions, skill positions, still an area that I know they're looking to add, and hopefully we see it this summer at some point.
Yeah, I mean, Of course.
Sorry.
Hopefully.
I was hoping you would run with it.
I hope so. But, yeah, no, receiver, they're going to really attack. And
they got their running back.
I know the 5-star Lockett was recently crystal balled or whatever to Texas, but I think A&M's in a very competitive spot there. They've got a running back in Ryden, who I think is really good. I think the need will end up being 2 at that position. They're in on a lot of tight ends with Lincoln Cure being a borderline 5-star, an absolute stud, out of the Midwest. So I think that's a guy that they've got a really good shot with. So you could see those skill spots ending up looking really good. The position I'm most curious about, though, is receiver. Not only how they fare at the very top and can they crack through with one of these guys that every single school in the country wants, but also, who starts to emerge as the guys they do want to go along with that.
One thing that I don't want to say surprised me, it kind of surprised me when Coach Elko was asked about Riley Leonard and Connor, and he actually said, we thought about it. Like we knew that was a possibility because there was reports that A&M may be looking at. But I was surprised to hear him comment on it. But then he went back and was like, we thought we had the guy in Connor.
Yeah, I think, and I also, I think the bowl game came after. I'm like, I wonder what Marcel Reed's performance, how that affected it. But I think Riley Leonard was already gone. But of course, he talked to Elko and A&M and. I think there was another quarterback, too, where I'm like, I wonder if they talked, what was the consideration there? I think, you saw rumors of, like, K-State's Avery Johnson, who just finished a pretty impressive true freshman season up there in Manhattan under Colin Klein. There were rumors of that, out there. There were rumors of, those two were rumored. And then there was another guy, I'm trying to think of who it was. Another guy that I know from somebody, a mutual friend, that had interest. I don't know how much of it was NIL-based or if he would have ended up coming, but the guy at Washington State who's going to start for Miami now. And Cam Ward looks exceptional down there.
Yeah.
And
people are really
glad
high
A&M doesn't have to play him, but he was a Houston area guy that was interested in coming back. That was a different deal, though, because first it was NFL, then it was Miami. You know what they're doing in Iowa, so you wonder, like, how much did they kick to him? But to me, the Aggies have gone all in with Connor, and Jimbo went all in with Connor. One thing that people don't talk about is that Quinn Ewers. I don't want to say this wrong because I know what I think would have happened, but Quinn Ewers was very interested in A&M upon leaving Ohio State, and there were conversations had. Ewers, if you remember, was that close to going to Tech.
Yep.
And I think Quinn Ewers would have come to A&M with Connor Wigman, and the Ewers camp didn't seem to care. But to Jimbo's credit, and he said, look, this was shortly before signing day, and they had gone all in with Connor, and Connor had stayed 1,000% solid with them the whole time. And they told him he was the guy, and they were taking one quarterback.
Yep.
And they stuck with that. Now, with that said, do I think A&M would have gotten Quinn Ewers? No. I think the same thing that happened to Tech
would have happened there.
Would have happened to A&M. Where Texas was desperate early on in Sark, they were very desperate, and they went and they basically threw the bank at him, and that's what the Texas outlets reported. I believe it was Orange Bloods, maybe it was Ketchum, said they're hearing first-round money for him. Otherwise, he had ties to coaches at Tech. I think he was going to go to Tech. Texas got him. I think the same thing would have happened at A&M, knowing what A&M was doing NIL-wise at the quarterback position. I think they would have kind of just balked at that money and let him go. So then you would have kind of stabbed Wigman in the back and his family that you told one thing. So they did the right thing rather than break that trust. And now you look up this many years later, and it's Connor's time. He's got to be healthy, and I think he fits this offense. And I think people around the league, and maybe even in the fan base are kind of sleeping on him.
Yep.
I really do. I think people forget that this guy was on track to be one of the top QBs in the SEC as a sophomore.
Thank you, Billy.
All right.
When we come back, the baseball bunch, Scott, Richard, and Bronny, that next on TexAgs Radio. Baseball bunch guys are here. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Last week was two baseball guys in a show, I think, and now it's the baseball bunch.
Good morning. once again,
you had to get to the airport 5 hours early last week, so that's cool. Scott, good to see you, sir.
Hey, that
Richard Zane, hello, sir.
That
Howdy.
setup was 0-1 last week at the tournament, so we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, opening day though.
No, it's day 2.
No, today is opening day.
Today's opening day.
Today is opening day.
So
but I do want
no,
to again.
We
Once
were
again,
the game was they were already done when we were on that Friday morning. They were already done.
It's getting interesting.
I just want to point out again that me, I have to alter my schedule for one person.
The owner.
One person though, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's above the company.
No, the owner is.
Okay.
The owner is definitely.
Isn't that how the hierarchy works? When you are the owner, you're actually above.
You are the company.
He might be the owner, but I think when I look at our company hierarchy and organizational structure, I see Brandon Jones as the boss and Hunter Goodwin.
Okay.
And Josh is like the tech guy, so.
And I'm like the fourth owner.
Josh scares me the most.
Oh, you're the fourth owner.
Oh, fifth owner. You're the fifth owner.
I'm like
heard
that before. I'm kidding. I'm definitely not even close. Let's. Can we talk some baseball?
Certainly can.
All right,
Have you not talked any baseball this morning?
But I want some real insight, so that's why Scott Clendenin is here. Oh, he was great.
Yeah,
he was great. I love to. You chatted with him quite a while in the lobby.
And by the way, he looks like he still play.
He's jacked. Yeah,
properly jacked.
Yeah, he's properly jacked. So, your thoughts on the regional, the teams that are coming, the whole thing, the 3 seed. Just go through it, Scotty.
Shocked that the Aggies were not underseeded. I think 3 is a good spot. We talked about it last week. I thought 4-5 was a sweet spot. So to get some SEC teams on one side of a bracket or not, I thought that some of the teams that didn't win and Tennessee actually coming through made that a little bit different. I actually was in the stadium at Reckling Park when Texas Southern beat defending national champion Rice.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
2006.
Yeah, I couldn't remember yesterday. We talked about it in our setting the scene, but yeah.
So I'm not going to have anything but respect for Grambling coming in here and playing. After you've seen that and Henry Coachman hitting a home run to walk off a great team in Rice and completely change a regional, I'm not going to sit there and assume that I know everything about that. But for Texas and Louisiana to be in the same regional a year after they were in the same regional, and either one of them could have come out of Miami. Now, I think A&M is better than Miami was last year, and maybe those two teams aren't constructed the same as they were last year. But then for Texas to go and have a dogfight with Stanford right after A&M had a dogfight with them, I'm not going to sit here and say that this regional is on the bottom half of strength of regionals. I think this regional right here prepares the winner to have a very good chance to advance to the College World Series next week. So I'm excited about it. I think the game tonight is going to be amazing. And I love the fact that Tanner Jones is getting the call out of the box in Game 1 against Grambling. This is a huge spot for him. He's got the chance to have some length in his game because of the right-handedness of Grambling. I'm excited about watching him pitch today and the offense to get back to being the A&M offense.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you saw the draw, my first thought was as expected. That's about what I thought was going to happen. There was no way that the committee was going to construct a regional for Texas A&M in this climate and the way this year has unfolded that didn't include one of Texas, TCU, or Nebraska. There was a lay down. They were getting one of those. There's just too many storylines. Obviously, the regionality of it as well. So, yeah, as expected, I feel like we've talked a lot about the differences in all the clubs that are here. But, the 1, 2, and 3 seed can all win it. No questions asked. So when Scotty talks about, I don't know. I know that they're putting numbers and metrics to judge the toughness of the regionals across the country. And I've seen kind of where A&M sits. But just go off name brand. Right, and name recognition across college baseball. And you've got 3 very recognizable names to college baseball fans across the country in one regional. And because of those contrasting styles along with the talent, I think any of those 3 can win it.
In my role as the grand corrector, it was the 2004 Houston Regional where Texas State beat Rice. Rice won the national championship in 2003. So get that out of the way.
And is the grand corrector? It was Texas Southern, not Texas State.
Sorry, Texas Southern. You're correct. Wow.
Fair. The grand corrector. What? If you hadn't said grand corrector, I might let it wash.
Grand corrector, let me get corrected.
That is not a title I have bestowed on myself. It's another one of my many nicknames that. The man who's over.
It was
the entire
TSU
company.
though, wasn't it?
Yes, TSU. Yes. Thank you, Scott. Well, it was Texas State still Southwest Texas back in 2004?
Well, much like
and I think it had changed.
Louisiana, they've changed their name 1,000 times.
They're no longer USL or
ULL.
Louisiana Lafayette. They are just Louisiana. Yeah. But to Bronny's point and to Scott's point, storylines abound. You're right, Matt Deggs is back in Aggieland for a second time in 3 years. We know that they're going to be extremely aggressive, although they haven't stolen as many bases as they have in the past because they've got more power in their lineup. Texas, Jim Schlossnagle said it yesterday that they've got as much power in their lineup as anybody, even Texas A&M, and then Grambling's the hot team. And they're playing. They're not supposed to be here, but they're playing for their postseason lives, and they've got a chance, and they've got a guy that they really trust on the mound tonight. So a lot of storylines to watch. I don't think it's an extremely tough draw for Texas A&M, but it's the NCAA tournament, right? These are the best 64 teams in the country. It's not supposed to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. And to Scott's point, I absolutely agree. Whoever comes out of this, whether it's the 1, 2, or 3, or the Cinderella story in Grambling, if you're coming out of College Station, Texas, and going into next weekend's Super Regional round, you're going to be extremely battle-tested and set up for a run to Omaha.
Ronnie, how has Texas changed since we last saw them?
I think offensively they're very similar. They've been very good all year at the dish. I think what's happened is they've settled down on the mound, and they were walking the world at one point in the year. I mean, they lost to UTRGV. It's the main reason why there's been so many calls for David Pierce's job. And Richard talked about storylines in this regional. One of them is definitely David Pierce coaching for his job this weekend. And what does that look like as one of the most premier jobs in the country, or one of the most notable jobs in the college baseball world if it comes open? So how do they manage that? Is there more pressure from David Pierce? Does his team feel that he's managing for his job? But I'll say this, those rumors started in March when they were really struggling.
Yes.
And that team has bounced back in a big way. And there was one point where they were going to be out of the field, and they have played their way into the field. And had they not gone 0-2 in Dallas or in Arlington in the Big 12 tournament, they may have been a really top 2 seed shipped somewhere else. Who knows? But, I mean, the NCAA wasn't going to pass on that. But you just never know how things work out. I think it's a big storyline in the regional. But for Texas, I've compared them to Georgia. They slug, they get on base. I think there's more depth in the Georgia lineup. But when you look at the top 4, it's very similar, and the way they attack offensively. And that's why I've always said, or why I've said this week, that I think Texas is actually the more comfortable matchup for A&M, because A&M's seen so many teams in the league that are similar to Texas. There's nobody in the league that's going to do offensively what Louisiana Lafayette does.
Lafayette has a good average. They've got some power. They haven't scored runs like I thought. That was the one thing that jumped out at me at their numbers is they're 8th in the Sun Belt in runs scored. That was what I didn't expect. I expect the pressure to force your opponent to make some mistakes, even if they're not stealing 166 bases like they did last year when Coach Deggs talks about, hey, we're down to, we have 100 less. But the aggressiveness, pushing the issue, normally leads to more runs for that offense. So they want to do it pitching wise. It's a contrasting styles tonight. I think that Bronny and I've talked about that a lot, about the fact that if good pitching holds down good hitting, what does that do to the Longhorns? Because is Lafayette then going to be able to get some more runs? I think that was their problem. They haven't scored runs, but I think that both those teams playing last year in a regional, they have familiarity with each other. That's a great matchup. I like that rematch because it was great baseball last year in Coral Gable.
I think it's like the first time the same two teams have been matched up in back-to-back opening rounds at an NCAA regional, maybe in history of the tournament.
Yeah, I think too that tonight's game, the intrigue is that they're just so different. I mean, Max Grubbs is the starter for Texas, and I thought that's who they would announce. But I mean, Texas is starting rotation. That for years, Scotty, you know this. The vast majority of the Texas baseball history, their success has been built on elite starting pitching.
Yes.
And they kind of manufacture runs offensively. Aggie Garrido was a notorious bunter.
And Gus might have done it as much as he ever did.
And this is completely inverse of what Texas normally is. And now it's Louisiana Lafayette that's wearing the hat of starting pitching and playing small ball. So I think tonight's game between those two is really intriguing because it's such a contrasting of styles. But, there is a path with this regional. I don't think there's a path for Grambling to win it. Now, there's the percent that they could do it is not zero. I guess there is a 0.1% or whatever you want to call it. But outside of that, there is a path for Louisiana to win this regional. There's a path for Texas to win this regional. No questions asked. So, especially when you look at how both rosters are constructed. And all that to say that if A&M comes out and plays the way they did for the vast majority of the SEC schedule and the SEC schedule at home, I think they run away with this thing. If they play that way. I've said it numerous times this week. I think for Texas A&M not to be the College Station Regional winner, they're going to have to play poorly and somebody's going to have to play very well.
Yeah, I mean, they're the favorite for the reason. Absolutely. Everything Bronny just said remains to be true. And Scotty?
Well, I thought that when Jace talked yesterday about playing to the standard and not to the scoreboard, and I said this last week, really a game against Mississippi is when they had a poor game. Other games, they didn't play well. They made some mistakes. They were in games at the end with a chance to win, and all of these games.
Both of those games they lost in Baton Rouge. They had Braden Montgomery up at the plate with the chance to go ahead or tie the game in the ninth inning.
That is still the standard. You want those guys up, and if you're hitting 350, you're failing, 65% of the time. That's baseball. We all understand that. They have not played to their standard that I look at and say, the game against Mississippi. Now, I like the fact that they think their standard is higher. They want to excel. They want to get back to the Georgia level, the Vanderbilt level. I know if that team shows up, that every team in the country would say that's an A&M team that we will have a problem beating. Every team in the country will say that. If those teams show up for A&M, they showed up at home, and that's where A&M gets to play until they could go to Omaha. And I think that puts him in a spot to be one of the favorites.
I like that you brought up Vanderbilt because Tanner Jones, what did he do against Vanderbilt? 7 1/3, 6 hits, no runs. So when he's good, he's good.
Well, let's talk about him for a moment because he has not started a game since May 5th. Any concerns about the layoff?
No, because he's pitched.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not been in competitive atmospheres. And what I'll be interested in, and there's no way for us to know this, unless we're going to leave here and walk over to the ballpark, but has his preparation changed because he's had more success out of the bullpen? Does he kind of shorten his preparation time for a start now? I know that it can change a mentality that I'm in there to when you start a game, there is just this kind of inherent, maybe even subconscious notion that, okay, I've got to kind of pace myself to get through a start. When even Max Wiener will tell these guys, it's 1 inning saves. Quit worrying about the next inning. Go get 3 outs, and then we'll worry about the next inning. If we need to get somebody else in, we will. That's the mentality he wants them to take out there. But for Tanner and Justin Lampkin, I think they've kind of struggled to do that. There are guys that can go out there and go, okay, I'm cruising. There are some guys that need to go out there. If you look at I know that when Nolan Hoffman was the closer here, remember how high-strung he was and all the antics? And what helped him a lot was, hey, if it's the first inning or the 9th inning, we're cruising. We're just trying to get outs, right? Because there's some guys that need to be toned down. And I think there are guys that have started games their whole life that need to be kind of turned up a little bit. And they don't do well with this cruise through it mentality. Let's go fire my bullets and see how I feel after the inning. And if I can go back out there, I'm going back out there. So I think Tanner may have learned a little bit of that in these bullpen outings where it's shorter prep time, go out there, fire my best bullets, and we'll see what happens after the inning. And I think he's been better in those shorter stints.
And it's not like when he's, pitching in the 5th inning that his stuff is falling off. He's still a mid-90s fastball, whatever point in time he's out there. So, it's not like physically, hey, I'm going to have a steady decline. You know what my curve is going to be, how I'm going to drop off inning after inning. Every 10 pitches, this stuff drops off. And I haven't really seen that from him this year. That's why Chris Cortez has been at a different level this year because there hasn't been any drop-off. His angle of decline has changed from, steep to pretty shallow. So I think that's what he needs to do. He can go out and dominate this game. He can.
And he should.
And he should.
He got to throw it over the plate.
But you have exactly right there. You have to throw strikes. And if he can throw strikes and let defense play behind him, that puts Grambling at a position where they're under the gun. If he doesn't throw strikes, then it opens the door for Grambling to have some chances to score runs in innings. And I think that is where he has to have that mentality of, I have to fill up the strike zone, and if they're good enough to put a ball in play hard for an extra base hit, I got to tip my hat to that guy and go to the next one, because this lineup is not built with all of
What
those.
you don't want to do is like get into a situation where there's like false hope is a real thing. It turns into real hope and real belief. So you don't want to give them false hope. And let's say Grambling has 3 extra base hits today and they score 6 runs on them because you've walked people in front or behind when these extra base hits happen. So I think attacking the strike zone for Tanner, and look, I think there's a little bit more freedom mentally for him to do that because he understands that he probably won't be punished as hard in the strike zone as he would be when he pitched against Tennessee or whoever it was in the SEC, right? Like you're always going to have that in the back of your mind to be a little bit more careful depending on with SEC competition. I think he can get in attack mode early. It's important that he does. Fill up the strike zone, and he doesn't have to throw up 0 after 0 after 0. But just be competitive in the strike zone. Like you said, make Grambling earn it. If they're going to pull this upset, make them earn it. Don't allow them to have that false hope and that belief linger in their dugout in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. And then you're looking up where you did against Texas Southern and Prairie View and going, okay, this could happen.
Yep. Richard, what does an ideal outing for Tanner Jones look like? I know what a perfect outing looks like, but what's an ideal? Like we get 6, 7 innings, 8 strike. What's an ideal?
Man, 6 innings?
6 innings? I'd like to see him go 7. For sure, 6 innings would be great. 5 is awesome. As long as they hold it down.
You got to look at what is starting pitching nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Like there's a faction of the fan base, and it's not their fault. They just don't understand what baseball has turned into. There's not guys that go 7 innings anymore. Like that's not the way pitching staffs are constructed. That's not the way pitching is viewed. And so I think
we've had some Prager outings like that.
Sure,
we
have
had
but that's not the for a guy that's coming in to first start since May 5th.
Yeah,
like what your expectations 7 innings?
If
he gets 5 good ones and they bang the ball around and you can extend it because of the way A&M's swinging the bat.
Well, a solid outing. What was the original question, David? Solid, good,
ideal outing.
I mean, ideal outing is
9 innings,
9 innings,
no
runs.
That's perfect outing.
Sure. But an ideal outing for
realistic ideal outing. How about that?
5 innings. Leave with a 5-7 run lead, something
against Vanderbilt. He went 7 innings.
Yeah, and like he's got it in him to do much more. But to do that, he's got to be efficient. He's got to get some help defensively. But
5 2/3 would be great.
5 to 6 innings would be.
And you're handing the ball to somebody like maybe you're handing the ball to Weston Moss because you've got a lead and you don't have to.
Zane Badmayev?
Man, I'm at the point where Zane Badmayev is in a leverage guy because he throws strikes.
Yeah.
Well, and I think
and he's got a real out pitch with the slider.
And the ideal outing to me is don't use Aschenbeck. Whatever it takes to not use Aschenbeck or Cortez or I know they're planning to use Cedillo in a start later or Rudis somewhere.
I can see Rudis
don't use those
if they're in a tight
bullpen
spot
arms
to get out of an inning. Maybe if Tanner goes 5 1/3 and Grambling's got 2 on with 1 out,
like a 5-run lead, don't want to get a
bring in
momentum
Brad,
shift.
Get out of the inning, and then you can go to somebody else to start a clean inning.
Well, the ideal inning is just don't use your big guns out.
And I don't think that Coach Schlossnagle was talking about Grambling in particular, but the fact of the matter is, in some of these games, pro and negative that can get out of hand, you have to have guys that go out there and throw strikes and eat up innings because there is no run rule. This team has been around a lot of games this year that they could see the end was not going to be at 9. The inning was going to be at 7. Now they're in every game they play the rest of the way out. The inning is at 9.
You got to get 27.
And those guys in the bullpen now know that. There isn't anybody warming up saying, well, you know what? If Targac comes up here and has this magical moment, I'm not even going to get out there. They know, and they can prepare in the bullpen to say, we got to play 9. We got to get 27 outs. This is what this team in the position that this tournament is. It changes that a little bit. So I would like to see him dominate, give the Aggie offense a chance to make him extend. This is a waltz today. If A&M plays their best baseball and gets a victory this afternoon, it's because the offense gave the pitching staff a chance to make a mistake or have a rough spot. But the offense works in tandem with the pitching staff to extend the ball game for your starter, Tanner Jones. That's what I think the ideal day is today.
All right, and now in the next segment, I'm going to ask you what we see from Texas and Louisiana pitchers just to set up what kind of weekend it could be, so we can talk about that on the other side.
27 innings.
That would be fantastic. How about realistic and ideal at the same time? All right, so we'll get back with that in a moment. Right now, Milliken Reserve time. Farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got wide open spaces, and their mission is to build a healthy community around nature and Tanner Jones going 7 innings. They're committed to treading lightly on the land that Milliken Reserve can be found on for family, for nature, and for community. When you go there, enjoy the outdoors. That's what it's there for. Yes, you can live there, but you can enjoy those outdoors there. They want to connect families to nature and to each other with that beautiful network of trails throughout that wooded landscape. It has all the walking and equestrian paths, the creeks, the ponds, the gathering areas that you want to see. Families can come back generation after generation and come back to that pristine countryside place. They want to provide a natural setting for people to connect. You can go hiking, biking, canoeing, kayaking, equestrian trails, evening yoga, fishing, summer camps, music festivals, farmer markets, and farm tours. You can learn more information at millikenreserve.com. That website, again, is millikenreserve.com. Go check it out. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the baseball bunch. Guys, what can you tell me about Mason Martinez? Bronny, have you done any digging on him?
A little. He will be in the game for as long as he can be, because it drops off pretty severely for the Tigers after that. And It's a kid who, if you'll remember, when A&M went to Omaha in 2017, Davidson won the Chapel Hill Regional, and they did it behind a kid, as the 4 seed, they did it behind a kid who knew he had no professional career. He's a right-handed pitcher that was probably, 86 to 90, but was really good and knew he had no professional career, was waiting to go take a job, and so he was fine just throwing until his arm fell off. So they threw him a bunch in the regional. They threw him a bunch in the super regional. If Grambling's going to have some success, it appears that Mason Martinez would follow that similar formula. He threw 265 pitches over the course of 4 days in the SWAC tournament. He's going to turn around and start today. It's going to be a little bit different than anything A&M has seen in terms of velocity and stuff, but that doesn't mean that he can't be effective. What I'm looking for A&M is, can they control the strike zone? When somebody throws the ball slow or slower than you've been seeing, the reason why they have success is when you throw it slower, guess what? I can make contact with more pitches. It's hard to hit Hagen Smith to begin with when he's throwing 97 to 100, but when he throws it out of the strike zone, it makes it almost impossible to hit. Now take that 97 to 100 and tone it down to 82 to 85. Well, now I can make contact with a bunch of different pitches. Doesn't mean that I should. So one of the things to track early is A&M swinging at the pitches that they can hit, or are they swinging at the pitches that they should hit? There's a vast difference between the two.
Martinez was a weekend guy for them. They played Nichols on the weekend. All their other traditional baseball teams that they would play on Tuesdays, Martinez didn't pitch against them. So he's got one start against one team. Otherwise, he was pitching on the weekends because of the tournament down in Houston and another tournament that they played in. There were historical black college tournaments. He has not faced but one time this year a team that will go out there and pound them. They lost that game to Nichols 24-12.
Oh.
I went back and looked at their 0-10 against non-HBCU teams, and they gave up an average of 14 runs a game. Twice, they had a 5 and they had a 4. Everything else was in double figures. So he has been their guy, but he was not also a guy that wasn't exposed to Arkansas and LSU and some of these other teams that handled their pitching staff and put up huge numbers. So he is going to walk onto the mound thinking, I'm the guy that's 12-2. I'm the guy that put this team on my shoulders and won the tournament last week, and you're here because of me. So it isn't false hope for him. It's actual his belief when he goes and toes the rubber today is, I don't care if it's A&M across from me because I win games all the time. Now it's up to A&M to treat them like Nichols did. It's up to A&M to treat them like LSU did and Arkansas did when they scored 47 runs against them on a Tuesday night.
Well, I mean, and he's going to take the mound with a so what attitude.
Yeah.
If I get beat up, so what? Everybody expects me to get beat up. So let's go have a little fun and see what happens. Like, and you know, Scotty brought up some numbers. We look at A&M's numbers against the SWAC. Now, I understand that it's a different, way different atmosphere when you're talking about opening a regional with your season now squarely on the line with everything you do, and compare that to coming back on a Wednesday after playing Texas on a Tuesday, and you have Texas Southern, or you have the midweek. I can't remember where Prairie View was sandwiched in the A&M schedule, but it was like
a couple weeks later, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they struggled with them mightily.
It was after they got back from Florida and before they played Mississippi State.
So your start of your SEC schedule. Yep. So and A&M struggled in both of those games, and it's not a clear indicator of what's going to happen. I'm not saying that A&M is going to struggle with Grambling because that happened, but I do think it's a good coaching point that Jim Schlossnagle and his staff can point to and say, look, man, like, you want to try to overlook these guys because they're in the SWAC? Well, this is how you've played against their conference opponents this year. I like having that coaching point. But again, like what I said off the top, is like if A&M just controls the strike zone on both offense and defense, I think they're going to be plenty fine.
All right, we got some talk show questions now. A&M's the highest seed, but do they have the best pitching staff, Richard, in this regional?
I'll say no. I think Louisiana's got the better pitching staff, at least starting pitching-wise, and they've also got perhaps the best arm in the entire.
They've got the best pitcher, and that's hard to say.
LP Langevin.
Well, I don't know. I would go Evan Aschenbeck. If you're making it's hard because if you're making a list of top 5 pitchers in the regional, the only 2 clubs they're coming from are Texas and Louisiana.
Yep.
No question. Because like A&M's got 3 I think you could put in there, and Lafayette may have 4 with their 3 starters and then Langevin on the back end.
On the back end, yeah.
So but Aschenbeck, Prager, and Cortez, all have arguments to be in the top 5 pitchers in this regional. And then so does Fluno, Herman, and Morgan, all 3 of their starters to go along with Langevin. I don't think we get to a Longhorn for how long?
We're talking about 2 guys in A&M out of those 3, they're going to be All-Americans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, then it's kind of hard to overlook the fact that this staff does have somebody as talented as Tanner Jones that hasn't started since May 5th because of the guys that have been around him. So,
I want a quick note on Langevin. The swing and miss rate on his fastball is greater than Hagen Smith's. It's playing better than Hagen Smith's. It's the only one in the country that's getting more swing and miss at it.
Ryan Prager had 100 strikeouts as a starter this year. Langevin's at 100 as a reliever.
As a reliever.
So, and what you're hoping, if you're an A&M fan, you're watching the second game tonight, you're going, okay, like
Langevin pitch.
We want him pitching in high leverage situations. So whether Louisiana wins it or not, he's taxed himself.
And if you have to face the Raging Cajuns, get to a point where he is not needed.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting point. What's the crowd going to be like in Game 2 today?
I think it'll be crowded. I saw yesterday drive around the ballpark when I was leaving, there was a bunch of red and black starting to pull into.
What are A&M fans going to do?
Oh, I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying.
They'll be learning Cajun French between games.
But this is an amazing situation for the Texas Longhorns. They're going to have a hostile crowd at a very high level in every game they play because of Aggie fans that are root against the Longhorns, Aggie fans that are glad to see Matt Deggs back and root for him and rooting against the Longhorns. There's going to be some people trading in maroon shirts for red shirts in between Game 1 and Game 2. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere all day long. Don't just go to the A&M game today. Go to every game that you can go to.
Absolutely. I would go and tailgate with the Raging Cajun fans.
Well, that's what Jim Schlossnagle said. Jim Schlossnagle
gumbo,
said
jambalaya.
As great as the crowds are going to be from the 12th man, and you can expect a lot of people from Austin to be here as well, as big as those 2 fan bases are, those Raging Cajuns are going to be just as loud, and hopefully they bring the food with them.
Listen, going to McNeese, it's really funny that this regional has 2. So my undergrad McNeese, our biggest rival was Lafayette. And then obviously A&M's biggest rival is Texas. So you got both of them here. But what I can tell you is about playing at their place, it is an SEC-style fan base. They are rabid about their baseball there. I would expect a bunch of them to show up. They've been to regionals here quite a bit,
yes.
Right? Go back to 2006. Was that Kyle Tebow?
That's Kyle Tebow.
And then obviously a couple years ago.
Yep.
So this isn't going to be unfamiliar territory for their fans or anything like that. But they'll be fun to share pre- and post-game refreshments with, I'm sure.
Yep. All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back I got the same question, though, offensively when we come back. Right now we're talking Heritage Films. They make documentary films, and I think you should be all over it, right? If you want to celebrate family stories, somebody in particular in your family, or just cool events that you are a part of, that's what Chance McClain and his team does. They do these documentaries as an eye in the sky of family events, Father's Day, birthdays, a patriarch of the family, matriarch, whatever you want to do. You can do family business, family ranch. He'll tell that story in a 2-hour documentary form, which you will love and your family will love, and you'll be able to cherish to watch it generation after generation. That's what a Heritage Film is. He also has another option called the Year Flicks, which are 20-minute versions. So the Heritage Film is a 2-hour documentary. The Year Flicks is a 20-minute Q&A, kind of a green screen, fun video reserved for the younger kids in the family, where you get to tell their story, but finding out what they're into, benchmark videos. And then you can follow up with another one a couple years later to see how things have grown from freshman year to sophomore year to junior year to senior year, and maybe even when they get their Aggie ring at Texas A&M. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Baseball Bunch guys here with us on a Friday as A&M will start here in about an hour and 22 minutes. Looking forward to that because right now, game time's still on, right, Bronny? Last you've heard?
Last I've heard. And
right.
it looks
good out there.
And it looks like the radar that there was, when I woke up this morning, I was trying to look at the future cast for noon, and there was some more red in the area, but now it looks like it's moved off, and they're clear skies the rest of the day.
What about the rest of the weekend? Different story, right?
Don't ask. I mean, I'm not qualified.
Okay, not qualified.
I saw Nick McKenna, and I asked him, so is it going to rain? He says, do you want to know if it's going to rain, if it's going to rain during a scheduled baseball game? He said, don't ask me about that right now. So I'm sure the guys have done a great job getting the field ready. Driving this way, seeing a blue sky outside certainly was nice to see that off in the distance because thunder and lightning woke us up in the morning.
Yeah, it got pretty western on my house, South College Station.
Hey, so this is the worst question I'm going to ask you today, and maybe it's not, but we're about to find out. It's definitely
That's
the worst.
a Nuñoism.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It isn't, but it is. A&M is obviously the highest seed here, the 3 overall seed. Do they have the best offense at this College Station Regional? Scotty, you're smirking?
Yes.
Done?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, there is a big 3 for the Texas Longhorns that matches A&M's big 3 of Gavin Grahovic, Jace Lavalette, and Braden Montgomery to some extent. A&M has hit, those big 3 have combined to hit 75 home runs. Go look at what Louisiana has done as a team. Kyle DeBarge has 21 homers himself, but the rest of the club, I think, has 54 total.
They have 75 home runs.
So that big 3, obviously, I will take A&M's offense over Grambling. Those power numbers right there, I'll take them over Louisiana. And I've already seen Texas A&M's power potential against Texas this year. Now, granted, that was early March, but
with a north wind blowing in at Dishfall.
Yeah.
Braden Montgomery and Jackson Appel still hit balls out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And Jackson Appel's was opposite field.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't he? Pulled that ball?
He was hitting right-handed.
Pulled that ball.
Into the left field bullpen.
How about it?
But whatever. I mean, yes, A&M's the most talented offense here. They haven't. There's been a combination of they faced really good pitching the last 3 of the last 4 weeks, and really 4 of the last 4 weeks. But their struggles have primarily come on the road. And they got into some spots against Mississippi State and Tennessee where I thought they could have had some success and produce run outputs that are more similar to what we've seen them do at home. And they just had a couple of bad at-bats mixed in there. You go back and you think about the first and second against Mississippi State with nobody out. They go visit with the pitcher and, Travis Chestnut's first pitch swinging, soft pop-up. It changes the dynamic of the inning. Yeah. So, but at home, this team, like we've just seen them just overwhelm people. That's a word I've used a lot. But that's what they do. It's unrelenting, unremitting, and they can get into these spots where you blink and it's double, homer, single, double, and you've given up 5 runs. Like that.
They didn't walk as much as they normally had when they were in Hoover, and solo home runs are solo home runs because guys weren't on in front of them. The bottom of the lineup needs to produce like they can and have. And that leads to big innings for the Aggies, okay? But I think that listening to you and Andrew during the Tennessee game, Tennessee's running a guy out there that's got 12 wins that nobody even talks about.
Well, and I talked to Max Weiner about A.J. Causey, and he was like, that might be the best right-hander we've seen all year.
Yeah. I mean, and I think Coach Losh talked about it, said they got him a sidearm right-hander with even better stuff than what we run out with our guys that do that exact same thing. So they have seen elite pitching. And I think that if they get back to their game of getting runners on base all throughout the lineup, that they can have a really good weekend. Now, here's the caveat on that. And I've seen this for years. Okay? A&M went to Miami. You had an umpire that wouldn't call Ross Stripling's curveball a strike. So what did that do? Until we know what these umpires are actually going to do when they're in the box and how they're going to call the zone, A&M, which has elite knowledge of the strike zone, and it leads to success at a very high rate, until we see these guys in the box, there is an adjustment to be made. And I think that is always a key in NCAA tournament when you have umpires that you're really not familiar with. You may have their TrackMan and all that kind of stuff in this day and age, but until they're there calling your pitches strikes or calling the opponent's pitches balls, you really don't know what they are, and there is that adjustment.
So how do these pitching staffs that are here this weekend compare to what we have seen the last few weeks from LSU?
They're not as good. They're not as talented for sure, especially like UL's starting rotation has good numbers. I don't know that the overall talent is going to just, it's not Luke Hellman, or it's not a Gage Jump, and it's not a Cal Steven. They're good. They're good. They're not certainly not a Hagen Smith or even a Mason Molina. I think in terms of overall stuff, they are good, and they can have success against this A&M offense. So I think the question that you ask is, what does success look like? How do these teams have success against A&M, whether it's Louisiana, Grambling, or Texas? And I think what you do, and I think what they're going to do, and you can tell this by the way that Matt Deggs and David Pierce have set up their rotation this weekend, is they're both going righties tonight. And Carson Fluno for the Raging Cajuns, and then Max Grubbs for Texas. That means, I think, and without a doubt, tomorrow they're going left-handed against Texas A&M. It's going to force Braden Montgomery to hit right-handed. It's going to force Jackson Appel to hit right-handed. Braden has really struggled right-handed. I think the batting average is like 120 points lower right-handed than it is left-handed, and he's swinging a lot right-handed. So they're going to make Braden a key piece of this offense. They're going to take their shot with the most low percentage thing he does. So whether it's Chase Morgan from Louisiana Lafayette, who's a Cypress kid and will have probably pitching with a chip on his shoulder, or Ace Whitehead at Texas, they're both left-handed. And so I think that's their chance to take a shot. They both went into this weekend and go, how do we set this thing up? Well, if we win game one, how do we win game two? Because game two, tomorrow's game, I anticipate it being Texas A&M against somebody. That is going to be A&M, Louisiana, or Texas's most important game until they get to Omaha.
Always is, right?
Game two of a regional. And then you can make an argument the second most important game is game one of a super.
Ryan Prager is the one they're going to hand the ball to for A&M in that situation. And that is that because of Grambling not being whoever you want it, whatever conference champion you want it to be, that's showing up with a first-round draft pick.
Not Oral Roberts.
Not Oral Roberts. Not Sam Houston. All of these teams that can show up at some of these regionals with a first-round draft pick and have a guy that you say, I can't take a chance to not have my one go. Texas and Louisiana are in a similar position. They can't go without putting a guy out there, even though they know how big game two is. They can't go without putting their guys on the mound for all 9 innings because they don't want to fall into the loser's bracket. And even if they would overwhelm a Grambling in the loser's bracket game, it doesn't really matter if you haven't set your pitching up to have game two be as important as it is.
Well, in Texas is, just quite frankly, they're not built to withstand a loser's bracket. Louisiana can more so because of how the depth of their pitching. But Texas, look, whenever LeBaron Johnson had the year and the fall off, and it is pretty incredible. Like, he was a dude last year. And like Tanner Witt early in his career, they thought was going to be a dude. And they've gotten hardly anything from either one of those guys. I think LeBaron Johnson's strike percentage this year is like 40%. That's a crazy fall off for a guy that's that talented.
So if Texas or Louisiana, but more Texas here, loses game one, do they send their best guy?
No, I would think they're going to pitch back against if it's Grambling.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to hold. They just don't have many options as starters, and Ace Whitehead has been pretty good for them.
It's still 3 versus 2. It's still their number 3 guy versus 2 on Sunday. And you got to build your advantages when you get a chance. Yeah. And all of these pitching staffs want to be sitting there on Sunday with a chance for their one of their normal weekend starters to be pitching in that ball game.
And when do we see Justin Lampkin?
Monday.
Maybe out of the bullpen if you need it.
I would think it depends on what does Brad Rudis' usage look like ahead of a potential if game on Monday.
So we're not going to see him today helping out.
Maybe, but I
don't think so.
I wouldn't think so, but maybe. I mean, you can't rule it out. I mean, you just don't know what the game's going to present. There may be a matchup where you want to go get him an inning or whatever. But I would think that Lampkin's role this weekend would be pitching after an opener like Rudis on Monday.
I still think he's got, and I've said it a couple weeks ago, I still think he's got a chance to be an X factor for this team somewhere he could be a deciding factor in getting out of a regional or getting out of a
If
super.
he was pitching on Monday,
usage.
nobody else in this region will have a guy that pitches and can have the success of Justin Lampkin.
We'll hit a break here. Caldwell Country Chevrolet, time Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. They have great deals on their website. They change them every month. When you go to that website, you'll see the vehicles that they have on the lot, and I highly suggest and recommend that you go out there and check it out. Do a test drive, see what they have, and then enjoy the entire experience because they have great customer service that starts beginning, middle, and end, right? They'll help you find the right car. They'll give you a great trade-in value. And then when you buy your vehicle, one of the good things is you're going to get a great price on your vehicle. I can tell you that. But you'll also get complimentary pickup and delivery for all of their service customers. That's what they do at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Great inventory and, again, great trade-in value. 15-minute drive from the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Time to end the day with double days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. Gentlemen, A&M has 124 home runs on the year. The record is 128. I said earlier they're going to tie the record tonight. Agree or disagree?
I think they break it tomorrow for sure. I don't know if they hit 4 in one game today, but they certainly could. I think they get 2.
They're breaking
maybe
the
3.
record,
They're
though,
breaking
right?
it this weekend.
Yeah, I would think that if they're going to win games, they're going to break. If you think A&M's going to win the regional, then I think they'll break the home run
I think
record.
it gets curious how many if they hit 4 or 5 home runs tonight, how many of them does Jace Lavalette have?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it seems like he could have a multi-home run game today and get to that 30 plateau, and then start breathing down Dalen Holt's neck.
That's 34,
even
right?
More.
The record.
Yeah, the single season record's 30.
But Jace's next homer will be his 50th at A&M, and then if he gets 2 more,
be the 3rd one ever, and one of them was on the desk earlier this morning.
He gets 2 more, it'll be 30. It'll be the only second time anybody's ever hit 30 here. I was talking to Scott Livingstone in the lobby, and he thinks Jace is the best power hitter that's ever played here. Because he was like, man, I hit 50-something home runs, but I did over the course of 4 years. Like, I had a year where I hit 7, and Jace is gonna. If Jace was a 4-year player here, Jace could push 100 home runs in college.
It's crazy, man.
But
all right, just stay.
Well, how many did Condon finish or have in his college career
he's only
so
had
far?
2 years.
Nice.
Yeah, he would be he'd be at 28 last year. He's at 34 this year. So, but no, Jace. If they're gonna have success this weekend, they're gonna have to slug and hit the ball at the ballpark and extra base hits and take their walks and. That is this team's best version. We know that. When they're doing that, getting on base and then hitting the ball in the gaps or hitting it over the fence, there's not many teams in the country that beat them.
When they do that, they can erase 9-0 deficits like that.
All right, so along those lines, we got 2 minutes left. Keys to advancing. Richard, give me a couple.
I mean, stay in the winner's bracket. First and foremost, I think Scott said it, that he doesn't think Texas has the arms to get through a loser's bracket. Because of A&M's starting pitching, I don't want to say the word concern because I think that we saw Tanner Jones do it against Vanderbilt. We saw Justin Lampkin be pitcher of the week. We saw Shane Sadeo be pitcher of the week, stuff like that. Chris Cortez can give you length. A&M has the bullets to do it. I just, I don't want to get to that situation, right? So win today, win tomorrow because you got your ace going against whoever's number 2. So to me, that's the key. Stay out of the loser's bracket. If you have to get to an if game, I'll take that as well.
I think there's a big weekend coming for Hayden Schott and Caden Sorrell. Those are my 2 kind of picks to click outside of the most well-known names. I still think Schott's got some homers in him, and he's been great this year. But I think there's more power in there. And then my X factor is actually the guy at the bottom of the order.
Yep.
And he's just so different.
Get on base and the chaos he can create.
Yep. Like he could be a big problem for people in this regional, but if he keeps hitting the ball in the air, and he's not getting on base, do you start looking at playing matchups with Caden Kennett as the second baseman? I don't think they want to do that going into the weekend, but it could happen. I want Travis to hit the ball. If he hits a home run, it's the accident. The ball on the ground, get to first base. Because when you get to first base, you're a threat to score, and he's the only one on the team that's really like that.
Yep.
All right, we got to do it there. End it there, not do it. All right, thank you all for watching and listening. We'll catch up with you on Monday. Full coverage on TexAgs.com throughout the weekend. We'll see you on Monday.